Welcome to this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters podcast. We chart the cinematic legacy of the classic monsters. I'm John Campbell. With me, as always, Brendan Jones.
This was a $4 rental, John.
Just right off the bat.
Well, here's the thing. This is one we've anticipated for a long time.
This might be the most set up episode because literally, if you go back to when we're talking about the Universal Monster movies, you can just hear me going, someday we'll get to 99. Someday we'll get to 99.
Yeah, and I get it. I mean, especially when you look at the landscape of what we've covered lately. The whole thing
Holy
is
God. I mean, this movie, there's so many things to talk about already, but I will just say the lead up to this movie of what we've been watching also only makes this already amazing movie even better.
Yes. Though, no, I mean, I love this movie. I do. No, that's what I said. I'm warming up my takes. I have problems with this movie. At the same time, did I enjoy watching it for the first time in years? Yes, I did. I enjoyed watching the hell out of it. The $4, well spent.
Good.
Is what I was going to say.
The other thing that's been, I think, since we've talked about doing this movie, this might be the longest anyone has ever claimed an episode for this show. Our most frequent guest, I will say, really kind of our honorary co-host.
Yes.
When they come on the show, Elliott Lewis is with us.
Hey. Yeah. Oh, it was a $4. Brendan, you don't own the 2-disc special edition like I do.
I do not.
You didn't watch this movie 3 times this week like I did.
That's
wow.
Yeah. Elliott kept giving updates, going, I'm watching the commentary tracks.
I wouldn't mind doing that myself. I mean, especially for a movie that I haven't visited in a long time, but know well.
See that I was gonna say that
I would definitely do a commentary.
Haven't visited in a long time. This might be the movie that we've done on the show I've seen the most of any of these. It's close because we did a couple months ago we did Blade, which I've also seen a billion times. And I think and I recognize every once in a while, because of the references I make, people may be surprised that there's an age gap between you and I, Brendan. But I do think some of that is the generational thing of Blade and The Mummy were like huge things for me. Was that the case for you, Elliott, as well?
Yeah. I was actually talking to my parents about it the other night because while I was like 6 when the movie came out.
Right.
I don't necessarily.
Children.
Yeah.
Huge children.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was 10. But I mean, yeah. Same.
Yeah. I don't like remember. I remember us having it on VHS. I do still have the VHS copy, and I would have watched that too.
Nice.
Just for like whatever previews they had put on it.
Oh,
but I couldn't get my VHS hooked up.
That is the best. The old tapes are best for the coming soon to theaters.
Yep.
And I remember, and so I've watched the movie on our VHS copy many, many times because I think I remember all of the previews that are on it. But specifically, I remember they had a great like, own all of these monster movies from Universal, and it had like a great like edit of like all these black and white Universal monster movies. And I remember like being scared of that because it is astonishing how many times I watched The Mummy despite being such a scaredy cat when I was a kid. But like, it was so cool.
I know why you were able to do it.
I'll talk about this movie.
The tone, which we'll talk about.
That's the thing, exactly.
Yes, we will.
This movie,
because I have some. I have some notes about that from Stephen Sommers and Bob Doucet. So
great. I really appreciate you doing the research.
Where are they? Are they in the other room?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, I called them up last night after watching the commentary.
I'll just say, current day Stephen Sommers, probably not an impossible get for us. The guy's career is not where it once was, but
I mean, this isn't Schadenfreude because I don't even know I obviously don't know the guy, and I don't know what he's like. I haven't heard stories or whatever.
I don't think there's been like a bunch of like, oh my God, Stephen Sommers was a monster.
But this is really one of those falling star things where really he hit big. I mean, he did movies before, obviously, but the ascent was pretty quick, but the descent was crazy because he just he hit something really big, and then he
Well,
overshot and really screwed up,
because
and then just disappeared.
he got caught into what a lot of the guys who hit big with blockbusters get, which is then everything's a massive blockbuster. So then the whole career is riding on every single movie. You know, if he had mixed in maybe some middle budget movies between some of these things, he might have been more okay. I will say though, since you said he had directed on before, I watched this movie yesterday morning, and then last night I go, you know what I haven't seen forever? Deep Rising. Let me watch
Jesus Christ,
Deep Rising. I watched Deep Rising because that's the movie that kind of gets him to this. And that movie is so dumb, but I had a lot of fun watching it. I will say it's very stupid, but it's very fun, and it is definitely. I think this movie is more successful, but you can see him starting to build this tone in that movie.
We will sum up obviously at the end, but I think Stephen Sommers, for an undeniable, again, zeitgeisty kind of like boom, everyone really enjoys this, and rightfully so, but I would just say he does lean toward dumb. And this movie, as fun as it is, leans towards dumb. So
I'm not
that's
sure dumb. Well, we'll see. Sometimes we get into semantic arguments.
Yeah, that's true. But it's Goofy Raiders is my.
I think Goofy. There's definitely moments in this movie that are goofy. I will say though, I am such a fan. This won't work because it's an audio medium. But for you guys, I did bring my Rick and Evie with me.
Oh,
so I do have the pops.
He's showing us the Funko Pops.
I do have the Funko Pops of Rick and Evie because this one I keep bringing up because this is legitimately like one of my favorite movies in terms of. Like I watched this movie all the time. When this was out, this was very much like a sick day movie. If I'm home from school or what I was watching, I had the 2-disc edition you're talking about, Elliot. I got specifically because it had the free ticket to see Mummy Returns in it.
Oh, nice.
I remember, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's got all these special features, and I get to go see the new Mummy when it comes out." And
no, that's
12-year-old me loved Mummy Returns. I will say.
Sorry.
We'll do a separate episode, obviously, about Mummy Returns.
Yeah, and obviously I'm coming back for the Mummy Returns.
By the way, I think Elliot, you're doing the whole Stephen Sommers thing because you're also down.
I think
for
I am doing
Van
the whole
Helsing
Stephen
as
Sommers
well.
thing.
Oh, you're gonna do Van Helsing as well?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll get the thoughts.
Oh, I won't be anywhere near as nice when we get there. But
And you know what? That'll be again for the listeners. We were just talking to Mike Gorgoni right before this. That'll be my Dracula 2000. So
that's the thing, yeah. And just as a preview of that, I'm probably somewhere in between the two of you. I like a lot of Van Helsing, but I
like virtually none.
Okay, but anyway, this movie. Let's start. That's where we're going. Where are we? We're in 1999. It's The Mummy. From Stephen Sommers.
Kids.
We're in Egypt. I'm 6. Technically, I guess we're in various places in the Sahara. We're in Marrakesh.
Yeah.
We're in a soundstage in London.
Yes.
Yeah.
This movie, the thing about it, just in general, you're talking about, you're in Marrakesh, you're in a soundstage in London. This movie is it's such a summer blockbuster Hollywood. When I talk about that, people, then look, corporations are evil, obviously, but like when you're talking about my love of big studio filmmaking, this is what I want to see when it's like the middle of July or whatever, and I'm going into the theater. This movie is pure entertainment. Or May, sorry, this movie came out in May, actually. Is that?
I mean, no, I don't know. I don't know when it came out.
No, it is May. I'm sorry. I'm saying it's May 7th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Whew. I mean, I saw it in the theaters when it came out, and again, I enjoyed it. It's for me, it's a weird middle ground where I wasn't as young as you guys, clearly. So when I saw it, I enjoyed it, but even then, I walked out going, "Raiders much?" And it was literally like they had Stephen Sommers had taken Raiders of the Lost Ark and Monster Squad and put them in a blender because it's a kiddie movie, weirdly.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I don't get the kiddie nature of it that you're talking about.
I don't either.
I get the Raiders. I mean, he straight up is saying that, obviously. But the other thing I'll say about Raiders much is this was like almost 20 years after Raiders.
No,
so,
I know, but clearly he's going for that. But the reason I say kiddie is everything when the horror kicks in, which it actually isn't much of a horror film till later. It's very much an adventure film, and then horror gets brought into it. It is going for a lot of wacky slapstick stuff, which isn't just like in Raiders, for instance. Indy has a lot of comedic beats. Certainly, it's funny. But it's situational where he's reacting to stuff that is actually pretty high stakes, but his reactions are kind of comedic. Here, the situations are comedic, and they're playing it for goofiness. We literally have the library scene where the adorably clumsy, unbelievably beautiful librarian knocks everything down, and it's wacky. And when the mummies come in the end, and he's like, it's a great scene. Swings a sword back, gets one of them in the head, and then swings it forward and kills another one with the head on top of the sword with him. There's a bunch of like, whoa, whoa, whoa! This movie is this far away constantly from having a werewolves got nards like moment.
I don't know that it ever gets there, but
it is a goofy horror movie. Which is not me saying it's bad at all, because you know how much I love, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
Yeah, but I don't think it's that. I mean, I don't think it's that. I don't think it ever comes close to that.
This
goofy.
Close.
Now, to kind of mediate this point a little bit, having watched the director, writer,
Elliott is the expert witness here.
I know so much about the making of The Mummy now. So it's interesting because Stephen Sommers, writer director, there are moments that he and Bob Doucet are talking about that a lot of the funny stuff was actually cut, that originally there were going to be more jokes in it. So I can kind of see and like, right, they were talking about it constantly with the dailies, like, hey, this doesn't really match the other part of the tone they're going for. So they wanted to balance the horror and the action and the comedy. I can like, right, there's studio executives hemming and hawing about shit, obviously.
And that's
but
go ahead, yeah.
So there is like, I can kind of see this like, it might be too goofy for some people because it was gonna be goofier.
I go ahead.
Yeah, but like I think that they balance the tone better than I think, Brendan, you think.
I actually think they balance the tone very well, which is why I really enjoy this one, as opposed to, it gets.
I think they lose it in some of the
as they go,
sequels,
and obviously Van Helsing, like I said, I've got crazy problems with, but we'll get there. But the thing is, with this is the successful one. This is the one that I enjoy at the same time. For me personally, and this is all about it's like, for me personally,
no accounting for taste.
Absolutely not. Especially not on this podcast. But
that's the other thing too, is the people who listen to this show on a weekly basis know we're in like rarefied air this week, because whatever quibbles you're saying, this is in the top echelon of movies we've ever watched on the show, because we've watched some of the worst films ever made.
This is one of those high watermarks where whatever problems I have with it, I was looking forward to watching it, and I had a blast watching it.
Right.
And for me, with this great cast, I think a pretty solid script too. I was impressed. Yes, goofy, but it sticks to its own rules. Yep. It sets things up. It doesn't play too fast or loose, and it actually is bouncing off previous Mummy films. And I'm like that. So that's impressive. But I just feel it's slightly a waste that it's not more of a grown-up movie. And so, in other words, I'm enjoying it, but it is almost like, man, if only this cartoon were taken slightly more seriously.
That's interesting, because I don't disagree. The only difference is that's why I like it. And I think particularly being we were kids, this movie, because I was also a bit of a scaredy cat, which is interesting that both of us are now
that we've grown up to
massive,
be such horror buffs.
yeah, like complete horror nerds. But I think, but also this movie was such a great sort of crack in that door, right? About like it was a little bit scary, but I loved Indiana Jones, and it was more of an adventure movie. And dude, I don't know any kid in the late '90s who didn't want to be Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
He was just I mean, the looking at the other on the IMDb trivia of who else was considered for Rick O'Connell, you're going, I'm sorry, I think Fraser and Weisz, both of them, or Wise Weisz, I've heard
Rachel
about
Weisz, yeah.
Weisz, yeah.
Rachel Weisz.
Yeah, we have to be careful because I saw Black Widow with Brandon the whole time. He just went every time she was on screen. So
look, I'm sorry, she is one of the most beautiful women.
she
that's
is.
ever
I will
graced.
say, and I'm not the first to say this. Eyebrows are a little interesting in this movie, but
well, because they shaved them down.
Yeah,
that's
Yeah.
I mean,
that's,
it doesn't.
They're
She's
trying
still
to be period specific.
she's
I don't
still-
think that was
Yeah.
them going, lady, you got to your eyebrows. are
no,
out of
no,
control."
no. But I'm just saying
They're
that's
like, it's the 1920s, and all the ladies had those spider.
it is
thin-
always
Yeah.
what I think of in this movie. Where as gorgeous as she is, it's always like, oh, that's not the.
Yeah, you
that's-
prefer her to go natural.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah. It always
She's got great eyebrows.
Well,
I mean,
that's
come
the thing
on.
exactly,
Come
and I
on.
think in the second movie they ditched that, right? If I remember,
I can't remember.
I'm
I mean, I don't
pretty
remember.
sure.
I think so. I mean, to be fair, I'm
Sorry,
not.
I was just the bikini scene where she's having the sword fight.
All
in the
right,
second.
save that for the pervy next episode.
It's not pervy. It's just she's so pretty.
put it
Yeah,
out
it's
there.
not pervy because same.
Yeah.
There you
No,
go.
I mean this
Yay.
whole movie, both of them
But
are
also,
just
she got
These
to-
movies are a bisexual paradise.
they are
They
well
really are.
because they
And again, Brendan Fraser at this point. I mean, you look at him and hello, I'm cis white
when he
guy, but
when
I'm sitting there
he
going,
shows
like,
up
God, you're peak Brendan Fraser.
when he
You
shows up on
just-
that dock, clean shaven, you are like, my God, that's the most handsome man that's ever been on screen.
Unbelievable.
Um,
And it's not just how handsome he is.
It's-
The thing that really is this movie would not have worked.
Because I mean,
for a lot of reasons.
the
but
person
the casting, holy hell,
Yeah.
across the board,
oh,
you're in good hands.
I also
He's
Mhm.
effortlessly charming.
I'm
She is so endearing and awesome. And then you've got John Hannah
John
is
Hannah.
great. Everybody along the line, you're like going, great.
I am so upset.
I've got my plush Arnold Vosloo right over
Well,
here.
I was just gonna say
I'm
though,
little
I
late
love
at
that I
night.
have they made these Funko Pops, but where is my Ardeth Bay Funko Pop?
Where and
Because
it's so
Oded
it's
Fair.
so funny that I mean, I will say that Oded Fair is not left out of the conversation when it comes to the kind of online, like, oh man, the Mummy is so full of hot people.
Sure.
But it's funny because again, listening to the director commentary, which I couldn't pinpoint an actual date, but I think it was recorded very soon after the release. But between the
usually-
release of The Mummy and I think starting with filming on The Mummy
Well,
Returns.
and also, I mean, because Mummy Returns, they almost went immediately into it. And I think that
Yeah.
might be where some of the problems with that movie lie. This thing hit so big that they almost immediately started Mummy Returns. So yeah, it probably was close.
Universal almost launched its Dark Universe plan with this.
Yeah.
Because this is where they're like
yeah.
going, oh my God, you can breathe life into these old properties. So, hey, would you like to handle Dracula, the Wolfman, Frankenstein's monster also? And
'Cause
then screwed that up.
Yeah, I was gonna ask because this is y'all's first pardon the pun, but y'all's first return to the Mummy since
Well, since
No, we've had lots of
we've had mummies, but
had
the
lots
first
of mummies? Okay.
we've had lots of mummies, yes, but this is the Imhotep storyline and stuff like that.
Like the
Specifically
Universal,
Imhotep.
like the
The
Universal.
I
The
don't think
Mummy.
Imhotep has appeared since Karloff, right? Because they did all the Universal sequels in like the 40s and 50s were Karis.
Karis.
Where it was
But wasn't Christopher Lee Imhotep? Maybe he wasn't.
Christopher Lee might have been Imhotep. I don't know. Anyway, that's the last good mummy movie we saw. I mean, we've seen a lot of mummy. This is something I was going to say that also really makes this movie a pleasure to watch. We've watched a lot of mummy movies. and I don't know, double digits for sure, right, Brendan? Mummy movies. And I think this is the third one I would even call good. So, like it's the Karloff, the Christopher Lee, and then this.
Christopher Lee was Karis. So
Christopher Lee was Karis too. So he's only Vosloo and Karloff have played Imhotep.
But I will say the Mummy, I get it. We talked about this with the Wolfman and the Mummy. Those were literally created by Universal.
Yes.
There had been werewolves in folklore, but there wasn't a Wolfman. And then we got, we got Larry Talbot. We got that. Mummy, no. That was all just like, we want something that's Dracula-esque. And then someone was like, what about that King Tut thing that happened like 10 years ago? Let's turn that into a horror movie and put, Karloff in some makeup. So there's no folkloric walking mummies until you get Karloff. So it's hard to go.
There's
loosely they're not sticking the mummy rules.
And
I see you're going like, wow, Imhotep in this is controlling swarms and all the plagues of Egypt. You're like, Karloff never did that. And then I can't get too upset because what are the rules of mummy?
It's bitchin'.
Yeah, that also, it is bitchin', man. This guy, I mean, the other thing is, and I think
he can open his mouth really wide.
Oh man,
you guys notice that? How wide he can open his mouth?
I do remember being particularly disturbed by that as a kid when he opened his mouth and all the bugs come out. Because this was early in my movie fandom where I actually got on the hype train for a thing. I had the toys. I had the Rick O'Connell that when you squeeze his legs together, he drew his pistols and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I know. Right? I didn't have any Mummy stuff. I was all about this movie because it was aimed. I mean, we certainly know the toxic nature of all the gender stuff, but this was definitely aimed as like the boy movie of the summer, right? The toys, the thing. And so, being a 10-year-old boy, I was very much like, dude, he's got guns and swords and he's fighting monsters. Of course, man.
He's got that cool leather armband for no reason other than it looks cool.
Oh, that comes into the second movie, doesn't there? Something like that?
No, he's got it in this movie.
I'm saying, doesn't the armband play a role? Because he's got the
tattoo. I don't remember.
Well, I'm sorry. I keep jumping to Returns because
Stop jumping to Returns.
No, I keep jumping to
the present, which is 1926.
Yeah. But so, no, I was just like at peak hype for this movie. It was just like, here you go. Here's the movie for you.
It was aimed, I mean, and this again is no slight, but it was aimed at 10 to 12-year-olds of whatever gender, but it was aimed at younger viewers, which is not a slight. And that's why Universal's like, oh my God, look how much money it makes, because the older folks like it too. But you watch this going like, yeah, they wanted kids to go and get a little bit spooked and love these people.
When you talk about the kiddie nature of it, in the way that Indiana Jones did as well, right? It was meant.
I think Indiana Jones is it's just a smarter film.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to. Raiders of the Lost Ark is like a perfect movie. I'm not going to.
Yeah, it's in my top 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's a masterpiece. But I'm talking about like, it is definitely going to that thing where it's like, it is a little spooky for kids, but it's fun for the adults, and the teens can go on dates. And
Grandpa likes it too.
And Grandpa it reminds Grandpa of the movies he saw.
It's playing into nostalgia and the not Great War, because that's not what World War II is called, but that idea of like killing bad guys and
taking down Nazis.
We're dealing in massive, forces of light and darkness, right? There's no what is this complicated sort of morality to this? This is just like, there's a bad guy, we gotta stop him, and I'm gonna be a two-fisted pistol packet. This is the only time when I can ever be like, I bring this up on the Action Shelf a lot too, because like the scene when he rolls out his thing of guns, I'm going, oh hell yeah, when in real life I'm the most anti-gun, but particularly because it is 1920s and he's got these 6-shooters and you're just like, yeah man, shoot them mummies.
Bob Doucet,
are you okay?
Stevens.
No.
You need some time alone with the mummy.
I do actually. Give me a second, guys.
Stephen Sommers and Bob Doucet are like clearly like they had made together, been the director editor team for a while. So on this commentary, they're like shooting back and forth, and they play so well off of each other, and they're so funny. And at one point, I think on the boat when when Rick is first using the two-handed pistol
Yeah.
or the double fisting it.
Yeah.
Bob Dusay is like, there's like a beat, and Bob Dusay is like, "You always want to use two guns. Man, if there was a way to get a third, that'd be great."
Well, I will say, watching Deep Rising the other night, it is almost entirely a movie of shooting monsters with guns. Like, it's almost wholly a film. And Treat Williams has a triple barrel harpoon gun. I mean,
Nice.
listeners of the show know, and Brendan always brings this up too, because oftentimes when I defend stuff, I'll bring up the weapon that's in it, and Brendan's like,
Yeah.
We always talk about the Keanu Constantine movie and how much I love it, and Brendan, you're not a fan of it, but I'm always going, cross shotgun, and we'll get to the Van Helsing episode when you'll hear me talk about machine gun crossbow. It's almost like I don't care.
Gatling crossbow.
Which I have seen. It's on display up in the Museum of Pop Culture in Seattle. I have seen it, and it is super badass in person too. All right, this movie, I want to talk about the poster because that's where we always start, and the poster, pretty good.
It's
sort of
got a big old mummy face.
got a big old mummy. We're talking about the main poster
Sandy
that's on
mummy
your
face.
IMDb. That's got the big old mummy face. I will say the poster does lean more horror, but it definitely is still indicating this, like, I just sort of think the sands of Egypt that we as American moviegoers think of as an adventure setting.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go wrong with putting pyramids on your mummy poster.
No, and I love the logo, the big middle M that's glowing. It's good.
Yeah. I mean, there's really not much to say about it. It's effective.
It's effective.
And it represents the movie, except for, like you said, it doesn't really play up, fun kid adventure, but it does sort of show you this will be an epic thing.
Once again, as we go forward, we'll see how much it leans more into the stars, obviously, those posters. But let me give you some taglines here.
Okay, I'm ready.
Because we have the one that's on this poster, which is, "The sands will rise, the heavens will part, the power will be unleashed."
All that happens.
Yeah. Of course, we have from the movie, "Death is only the beginning."
Mm-hmm.
Somebody, once again, Brendan and I love that. We love when somebody got paid to write, "Prepare, beware, behold."
Jesus.
That could be any movie, right?
Yeah.
Ka-ching.
And then you get into then you have the sort of the ones that are playing on the Indiana Jonesy kind of thing. Adventure is reborn, and then the legend you know, the adventure you have yet to imagine. And
Not bad.
No, that's fine. And that's the big thing to me is I love an adventure movie, and I'm always complaining that we don't get enough adventure movies.
Yeah.
It's really,
we won't get another good one till Scorpion King.
We are not covering Scorpion King on this show, although there has been threats of it over on Action Shelf. But there have been Scorpion King for any of the 5 sequels they've made. Which I will say, if you go to Steven Sommers' IMDb, like the last 10 years have just been executive producer credits on those straight-to-video Scorpion King movies.
Yeah,
so he's cashing checks. He's doing just fine, folks.
And I mean, it's I was gonna say this earlier and I forgot, but it's funny that Steven Sommers' star fell. Bob Dusay just edited Glass Onion.
Yeah, man. Well, Bob Dusay is a fucking amazing editor. I mean, that guy. Yeah, no, there's no question. And I think he's done most of the Rian Johnson films, hasn't he?
Yes, he did. He did Knives Out as well.
Yeah, I love. Dude, I mean,
Perfect.
Rian Johnson. But Steven Sommers is, I will say, it's still attached in development for a remake of When Worlds Collide, which I am on board for a Steven Sommers renaissance, because this guy really, when I was a kid, and these movies hit big for me. So I think, and it's interesting, in some ways I know for you, Brendan, he leans a little goofy, but he kind of was ahead of his time a little bit in embracing sort of the larger-than-life comic book-esque,
to some degree,
spectacle.
I mean, I agree. And again, this is going to be unfair, but looking at the things of his I've seen, I just don't think we're going to get a renaissance, because I think this guy.
You don't think the director of G.I. Joe: Rise of Cobra can't?
God. See, I think this was probably the best a guy ever could be.
I think that's
and I just don't think that there's this thing that like, oh, they forgot about him, and then years later he's getting the Lincoln Center honor, where they're like going for a great body of work.
No. I don't think we're gonna get that renaissance, but I could see him finding the right material and connecting with another box office hit. I didn't catch Odd Thomas.
Again, I don't want him to fail. It's not me sitting there going, I've seen enough of his stuff to go, yeah, he did a couple things well. And done.
I didn't see Odd Thomas, which was his last film in 2013.
I didn't
based
see that
on
either.
Dean Koontz novel series.
Yeah, he adapted with Anton Yelchin.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. Oh my God. Stop.
I don't even want to think about that one.
I don't either.
That doesn't make any sense.
We'll just be crying when we get to that Fright Night episode.
Baby.
But so anyway. That's the last thing he did. So anyway, let's go back to this. It's interesting though that he got handed this, because it's not like Deep Rising was a massive smash.
Deep Rising actually was a box office failure. Like it did not do very well.
Here's the thing.
I don't know why it had everything I want in a movie, but
this surprised Universal. I mean, they spent some money on it, and I will say this: the CG in this, I mean, it's very basic and early.
Sure.
But holy hell, Scorpion King's 3 years later, and it looks like ass.
Yeah.
But anyway,
this has an $80 million budget, which in '99 that's pretty big.
Universal really did not expect anything from the Mummy, though. They really did.
Elliot, you've got facts.
I will say the production, like, it wasn't troubled, but like average cost for the special effects scenes, like each special effects shot, average cost was almost $150K.
Okay, yeah.
Wow.
That's
like the opening shot of the movie.
Yeah.
That would cost $200K.
And that was, I remember them making a big deal about that. The opening shot of this movie.
Look how we populated this with all these.
And I will say, like you're saying, Brendan, while it's dated, I can put myself
up pretty well.
It holds up a lot better than, and I swear I'm not, than the next movie, or a lot of movies from this era. I do think some of that has to do with the effects people behind it. There's also, I feel like this one had, because we're still kind of on the emergence of CGI at this point. '99 is also the year that Phantom Menace comes out. So this was a huge year, and Matrix. So this was a massive year for special effects. So I feel like there's guys with a lot of stuff to prove.
Yeah, and also like, right, Lord of the Two Towers was the first instance of using like mocap.
Yeah.
In a way, like, I can't remember what the word is, but like, I don't know, right? I can't remember what the actual like term is, but like.
No,
mocap,
but like
Gollum.
Like how it's being integrated into the movie though, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But they did use mocap in this one as well.
Yeah.
Like Arnold Vosloo was doing a lot of the actual like physical movements of the mummy. They had mocap actors for the mummy soldiers and the priests.
Yeah.
Right. So that like when Brendan's sword fighting and shit, it didn't look bad, which like, hey, that's a good way to think about something, huh?
I mean, I was such a nerdy little kid. I was watching all the special effects things where they would do the layers on the thing, and you have Brendan Fraser fighting nothing to the skeleton outlines to the thing, and I was just going, oh man, special effects are so cool. But it's so interesting. But I think that's the case here too, where it's sort of like this really comes from an era where it's like, look at what we can do, as opposed to then it becomes we can do anything, and then that's where you start to get into trouble, because this movie still does have a lot of practical elements in it.
Yes,
it does. Yeah,
and that's of course always the tipping point, right? When people talk about the CG stuff, and very much the case will be. Because even Phantom Menace, I think people forget how much practical stuff there is in Phantom. If you just watch the prequel Star Wars movies, you can kind of see where it becomes the over reliance on CG just across those three movies. So I think this is a good middle ground of like, we're pushing things forward, but we haven't yet just like, well, computer, you take care of the movie then.
Yeah, it was definitely used, like the word that they use a lot in the commentary, which again, because of the time like where they were recording this and talking about the movie, it was so, I think, so close to its release.
Right.
That like, right, the language was still like enhanced, like we use computer enhanced imagery, like we
Yeah.
used this to enhance the movie.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. And that and that's it's interesting. It feels like now time has come far enough that that's now back to the thinking, right? Like we went so far the other thing that now I hear filmmakers talking about that again, going like, yeah, we don't want it to look like one of those CG movies from the mid 2000s.
Well, when the new toys come along, people can't resist playing with them, and then eventually they go, well, okay, but remember the stuff we used to do before? And I kind of think AI is going to be a similar thing.
I hope it's sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
because it's sort of like,
this
is great. Everyone's totally in on it, and eventually
Like-
they're going to go, oh, what if we combined it with hand-drawn this or that?
Yeah.
And actually, never mind. I can't get into the AI thing right now because we're trying to keep, because Brendan needs to go to work. So
yeah,
that's an hour-long thing on its own. Yeah, but no, I was gonna say it's interesting. We were just talking about this over on Panel Up, though, that and it just anytime anything comes in and they're like, here's the thing that's gonna change cinema, I'm always like, yeah, it's probably a thing somebody will figure out how to implement. Even like the release, like the 3D and all that kind of stuff, I'm always just going, yeah, it'll be yet another tool, but like at the end of the day, the core art form is still the same, really. It's still making flat images on a screen seem like they're moving. Like it's really, you can't overdo this too much. All right, let's dive into the plot itself, since we've kind of I do like I always love, and they don't really mess with the logo, but I do always love the implementation of a studio logo into a beginning movie, and the way it goes into the earth that then becomes the sun here.
Yeah,
I dig it. I'm in. And then yes, our big sprawling CGI, although like we talked about, it's using CGI of people to populate this Egyptian city.
Well, also the Egyptian cities, of course, totally CG.
That's what I'm saying. But the people are real people multiplied, and then
yeah, and then like layered in.
So they don't. So they don't quite look like the people look real. Is what I'm saying. Even if the background, which adds to that thing, it's not fully a video game.
Right. Yeah, so we're getting, and this is typical Mummy stuff, except for not all the Mummy movies we've seen have started with the ancient Egypt origin.
Actually,
but this we do.
I was going to say, because we've seen so many of these Mummy movies where you have to get the history of the mummy, I love that this one just gets it out of the way in the first 10 minutes, as opposed to we've seen so many where like halfway through the movie will stop for 15 minutes and go, once in ancient Egypt, I lived as a priest, and
and also this one is not reinventing the wheel. It's basically exactly the same that we've seen in every Mummy movie, where it
almost feels like it's like we take all the pieces of every other mythology we've seen and just, here you go. Here's
Imhotep
the symbol.
is the priest of the pharaoh, and he is in love with the pharaoh's wife, and she is. Even though they were pronouncing it differently, and I actually think they're probably pronouncing it correctly, because in the previous ones...
You mean unlike the 30s when they were real? Oh, they were just so true to Egyptian.
The only problem is that got stuck in my head, because Anunk-Sunamun is what she has been called in the previous ones, and this is like Anunk-Sunamun or something. Anunk-Sunamun.
Yeah, it's the Raish versus Ra's al Ghul thing too, right? It's Raish. I'm sorry, comic book fans, but I mean, if you're being true to the Egyptian, it should be Raish al Ghul. All right, there's my soapbox. I'll step off for a second there.
But it is so it's the same story. He's in love with her, she's in love with him. They do a little twist here, is that their affair, of course, he's not already a heretic at this point, other than the fact he's having an affair.
Right.
But the pharaoh discovers them, and he's like, what the hell?
I like the whole thing with the body paint and who has touched you.
I don't know how accurate this is as far as costuming, because if that's what ancient Egyptian princesses walked around in, I'm like, oh, okay.
They were asking, there was going to be trouble if you just don't want, like, don't look at my wife. She's wearing nothing but paint.
Yeah, I know.
Don't you look at her.
It's a little tricky because she's sort of just naked.
Yeah. But I know what you're looking for, you boss. That's, by the way, that's what every Egyptian soldier, they go, hey, don't, Pharaoh.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. He's been smudging a paint, if you know what I mean.
Hey,
so,
right. We saw Imhotep with your wife.
Well, yeah, they actually didn't give it up.
No.
Because Pharaoh just walks in, and then she's like, hey, darling, I'm sorry.
love Patricia Velasquez's attempt at like,
Oh,
hey,
just very casual,
Yeah,
like
hey,
I'm just standing here petting this cat statue. Nothing
what you
hinky
do.
going on
what
here.
are
It's
you
what you
doing?
And I'm only distracting you because my lover's sneaking up behind you with the thing.
And we're gonna
That's the
stab you
big
to
twist.
death, and it's gonna rule.
That's
is
the
pretty
big
great.
twist, is that here, instead of it being Pharaoh says, "You're unclean, I will kill you," here it's full on, they kill the Pharaoh.
Yeah, I like
Together.
That was cool, man. That was
And
really.
then
My
she's
body
like,
is no longer his temple.
Well, and it-
drop the mic.
it's really her, leading that.
why don't
She's
you
the
have
one who.
that on your sweater?
I
My
should.
body is no
Oh,
longer
I
his
should.
temple.
I should make. I should make
You should make
my
it a
body is no longer his.
Namun.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm 100% on board for that.
But
yeah.
so they kill him, and then it's a whole thing where she says, "Escape, Imhotep, get out of here, because you're the only one who'll be able to resurrect me." She already knows where this is going to go.
Yeah.
So he ducks out, and she commits suicide as the soldiers rush in.
I love the idea of she's just got so much faith in this guy's magical
Oh, yeah.
abilities. She's just like, I'll just kill myself, but then you'll just bring me back.
Yeah, it's fine, dude.
This is how
and
we do
actually,
it.
Grow
it
up.
almost worked.
It's true.
It
Actually,
does.
her faith in Imhotep was right. And also, the other thing I like about this is the first movie tried to kind of give us, and a lot of them have tried to give us these, sympathetic mummies. And Imhotep definitely is like corrupted by he's a full-on supervillain, but like he does kind of get
He
a
was
raw
right.
deal. Yeah, I mean, like
Imhotep never did anything wrong.
Okay.
hashtag justice for Imhotep.
Yeah.
But I do think they make, and also I gotta give so much props to Arnold Vosloo in this movie, who has so little like dialogue or thing, but he has to convey this character. I love Vosloo. Anytime I see this
so
guy,
great.
anytime I see him in anything, he showed up as a villain on an arc of Bosch a couple seasons ago. I'm like, oh my god, Bosch is fighting the mummy. This is great. And Summers obviously liked him because he pretty much shows up in almost every Stephen Summers movie after this.
Okay.
And just for if you're into the action movies, Vosloo in the Van Damme movie Hard Target totally steals the movie. He absolutely steals the movie.
One problem I have is, and it's not his fault,
Uh-oh.
but it's what he did to Darkman.
Oh, well, yeah, okay, that's not his fault. He was a working actor. He needed the job, and he got the
One
Darkman
of the greatest characters of all time.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And, anyway, I always love this guy, though. And he is great here. And I also love in the IMDb trivia for this that originally it was supposed to be him doing the narration. And then at some point, Stephen Summers goes, but he wouldn't speak English.
And okay, when I'm jumping on, like, oh, this movie's goofy. When I talk about the script being pretty solid,
Yeah.
I totally respect that kind of thinking.
Yeah.
And
I thought
totally
you would.
respect.
Because you know what? I thought that's a Brendan Jones note.
Yes, and the fact that through the whole movie he speaks his native tongue, and I was like, yes,
That's a first.
Subtitles,
Hey, man.
do it.
Was it a couple months ago we had Tony Curtis as a mummy on this show.
I know.
By the power of Ra, what do you?
Yeah. He's
Oh
like,
boy.
Yeeks. Yeah.
oh my God, you
So-
have defiled my sacred temple. Oh,
My land,
boy.
my beloved
Oh.
homeland of Egypt.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
that one was rough. So yes, I do like that. And also you get the dulcet tones of Oded Fair. And also it
Yes.
makes sense because he's the one who, the leader of the Magi, and he would be the one telling this story.
Yeah, they've
Yeah.
been watching this story unfold from the very beginning. Now, here's something I got confused about as far as plot.
Okay.
So what happens is she committed suicide, and then I guess the Pharaoh's army, because
Yeah.
there's not a new Pharaoh yet, they're the ones like, we don't
They
like
really-
you, Imhotep.
Yeah, they really took the murder of the Pharaoh personally.
They really did, because they break in on the ceremony that almost Imhotep is almost
it's damn
got-
close to working. Yeah.
got her soul
Mhm.
back into her body, and then they break in at the right moment, and the soul goes "Whoa," and pulls back into the pool of water.
Love
shaky
the-
CG, whatever.
Yeah,
It's
I
okay.
love, but you know what? I like the design of the soul pool, even if the
Sure,
CG's
I
a
like the
little
soul
I
pool
like
just fine.
Yeah.
So he's like, no, and then the narration tells us like, okay, so all of his priests were then mummified live.
Yeah.
But he, and by the way, I mean, that means that they wouldn't have taken their organs out. They're literally being wrapped and they're screaming. I'm like, well, then they're not traditionally mummified. They're just wrapping them up and burying them alive. But anyway, in the case of him,
Oded Fehr can only take so long to tell the story, so he goes, we're going to have to just sort of, cut
and then they're like, but
again.
for him, they save the worst. This is the cursed thing where they have basically made him immortal so that and they're going to mummify him alive, put him in his sarcophagus, lock it. So even though he is alive technically or undead, he's just going to be in torment forever.
Yeah.
But they also say, he basically says, this terrible curse thing makes him so unbelievably powerful. And I'm like, oh,
double-edged
so
sword.
Just killed Imhotep right there.
Double-edged sword, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like,
it's a risk reward thing, and Evie says later, it's like it's a curse, and you're fucked up forever. Like you don't get to go to the afterlife or whatever.
No,
it is.
But you have the powers.
But
also,
of a god.
But
yeah, if somebody decides to bring you back, then everyone else is fucked. She's like, I've never read of it being used because it was so feared. It's like
it is like
yes.
So
but also it is the mechanism that
3,000 years going like, God, I hope no one digs him up. God, I hope no one digs him up.
Well,
oh shit, someone dug him up.
Yeah, and listen, they don't do it, but that's also it's the mechanism that makes the movie go, and it's like
what?
At some point, you just gotta shrug your shoulders, and everything else in the again, and also Stephen Sommers is very clear about this. He's like, I did everything I could to make sure that nothing in this movie was like a hole so people wouldn't understand something or something wouldn't make sense.
No, I think that's...
I can actually tell that.
It's true.
And I appreciate it.
And by the way, uncredited rewrite according to IMDb from John Sayles.
Oh, wow. John Sayles.
Who's, one of a well-respected filmmaker, but also who we've talked about on here as one of the most respected script doctors.
Yeah.
And he's always, I feel like that's something Stephen Sommers bringing him in probably is a guy who can go, here's where you're not airtight on some of this stuff.
Yeah, and here's the stuff that even though the internet doesn't really exist yet, when it does, people will just take you to task.
But here's the thing I do like about this, though, is the idea about we hate this guy so much, we want him to suffer for eternity.
And
now,
we will take the risk.
We're gonna take the risk that he could become the most powerful being on the planet, but that probably won't happen, and it's worth it to make this guy suffer for eternity. So
that's
and it's somebody else's problem if it happens 3,000 years from now.
It's just kind of in the old story, Imhotep being this great magician priest guy, the magic was his, and then they were afraid of that because he had read the unholy scrolls and all that stuff. He had dabbled in dark magic, so they were protecting themselves by putting him down. In this case, it's more like, okay, we're going to give him the secrets of the universe, but we're going to make sure he can't get out and do anything with it. It's like, we're going to give you the gun, school shooter, but we're going to make sure you never get anywhere near a school.
If we just
sorry, that got political. Very sorry about that.
I was gonna say that was a weird choice.
Analogy.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was a weird analogy, but
it's sad. It's sad that that's prevalent enough. It's on your brain, but weird.
Yes, but it is let's give that guy all that power, and all we can really do is make sure that he doesn't get to use it.
Well, once again, because the positive for them is at least he's gonna suffer forever, man. So that's gonna be pretty sweet.
Well, they do put a bunch of scarabs on him.
Ooh, the scarabs, the real star of this movie, the scarabs.
Alive all over for years and years.
Oh, the
I like when she goes, "Oh no, it was very slow."
Yeah. There's a lot of, you talk about the horror of the movie being, obviously it's all very PG-13, but there's so much implied nastiness in this movie that I think, once again, 10-year-old me, who was on his way to being the resident gorehound of this show, was like, oh, that seems disturbing.
Sure.
And the scarabs do look cool. The way they skitter around, I will say, this is, of the movies we've done on the show, this is my cat's favorite movie. because there was lots of things skittering about, and he loves horses, weirdly. Columbo loves a movie with horses, so he watched a lot of this thing. And Hero Cat, too, in this film. So
true.
Yeah.
There was a Hero Cat, and that is one of my favorite scenes. It's like, look what I got!
And very fun, very cool, and very, tying into the Egyptian mythology stuff.
Yes. And it's a kitty cat.
Brendan's just you had to back it up because you actually forgot what the plot was. You just went, oh, look at the kitty cat.
Well, again, the only thing that stays off depression for me these days is watching endless cat videos. I am that guy, and I was like, look at you. Look at you! Anyway.
All right, so we go from that. So there you go. He's undead for eternity.
1923.
1923, we find the most handsome man in the world, Rick O'Connell.
Oh.
God damn. I mean, and also, here's the other thing, too. And I was looking at, once again, I have the list here of other people considered for Rick O'Connell. And the guy who got very close, DiCaprio.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't see that at all. And I love DiCaprio.
No.
Great actor.
Well,
but
also, I mean, he's just tiny.
He's
boyish.
just a little guy.
Yeah, he's not this is very much in the Indiana Jones Han Solo mold. I think all the other ones were the more obvious ones you'd think of. Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Chris O'Donnell, Matthew McConaughey, all those. Yeah. And all those guys would have been like, okay, but there is such a unique mix of things that make Brendan Fraser the guy for this movie.
Agreed.
Yeah. And one of the things is immediately, and this is something I'm always on about these movies, is he seems like a guy from this era.
Yeah.
That's
He's got a very like who played the Rocketeer?
Oh, Bill Campbell.
Billy
Campbell. I could see Billy Campbell in this in this kind of role as well.
That also key to why that performance worked too is like you're like, oh yeah, that guy looks like a 30s action hero.
Yeah.
Because that kind of drives me insane.
Sorry, really quick.
Yeah.
He will never eat. He will never sleep, and he will never stop. All right.
Okay, man.
Had to.
Hi, man. We got Crazy Mommy out here. I mean,
we got Crazy Mommy.
Well, we kind of saw that movie, didn't we, with Sahara?
That's true.
I mean, it's interesting. Like, I feel like all of those guys did eventually do their thing. Tom Cruise literally will make a mummy movie.
That's true.
But I think it's interesting that something we'll talk about with this and then into the sequels is how many attempts there were to make this movie again, and it's still happening. I don't know if you guys saw that Jungle Cruise movie that Disney had out the other year, but it's the exact same movie. It's really interesting.
It is about a period piece action film that has the pacing of an old adventure serial.
Yeah.
Anything that attempts that is going to seem similar. I know they weren't really trying to do the Mummy. They're just trying to do what I just said, that prototype, that archetype. And so it'll feel similar. It's like, what if we took African Queen, but made it more of an adventure thrill ride? And it's like, well, because based on the actual ride. And yeah, that's fine. The period thing.
And Jungle Cruise is forgettable fun. Like, it's totally fine. But it is. I will say, I also looking here at the IMDb trivia, of course, because I feel like they come up on every episode. At some point, someone said the names Kurt Russell and Bruce Campbell for this as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
And Army of Darkness era Bruce Campbell has what I'm looking for in a Rick O'Connell. I think at this point, less so.
I will say Brendan Fraser is actually for this movie, a perfect choice, but I'll also say that in general, he is what the arc is the same as the arc of a Chris Pratt and a Ryan Reynolds, which is someone that comes up originally in comedy and then someone realizes, oh, he's got real leading man magnetism in addition to being funny and charming. So let's start aiming them towards action adventure. Let's get Chris Pratt to lose some weight, because Chris Pratt could have done this back then. Sure. Had he been the same age, which he wasn't. But I mean, this is the same kind of role that he does now.
Yeah, well, I mean, exactly. Brendan Fraser at this age now would be Star-Lord. Yes, I totally
exactly.
See that.
That would have been so great.
It would have been. And I got no problem with Chris Pratt as Star-Lord. It is just a similar being.
The thing about Fraser, and it is the thing where you're going like, DiCaprio. Has DiCaprio ever been
him
fun? I mean, he's funny in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but it's because he's such a fucking sad sack drunk in it. Like,
I loved him in The Aviator because he kept asking for the blueprints. It was hilarious.
That's what I mean. It's just sort of like DiCaprio never was an action hero. All the other guys they mentioned are like, okay, yeah, sure, they all had action vehicles, but I'm just going and obviously that's coming off of Titanic, and I think
it's literally just Titanic.
It's just he already
and
did
that's
a big
not an
period.
action adventure thing at all.
But it's
I love
period
you. Oh, it's
special
so
effects.
cold. I'm drowning.
Period
but
special
it's
effects.
Yeah, period, and also like the getting like the seat filling power.
The teenage girl,
like,
right?
Leonardo DiCaprio, he was in Titanic.
But I think that's the thing where it's like, especially at this time, you're really divvying out that audience and going, the old people love the old adventure stuff. The kids will like the action. The teenage girls will love DiCaprio. This will work, except for once again, as you point out, Elliot, an entire generation, I feel like has carried on the Brendan Fraser torch more than the DiCaprio one.
Yep.
Mainly because, look, I'm not.
DiCaprio turned out to be a hecka wicked gross.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is not me just here to bash on Leonardo DiCaprio, but I will say the choices in his personal life
for you. It's fine.
The choices and the way he chooses to live his life and present himself have not exactly made him the most appealing cinematic figure. And also, we are recording this in the middle of a huge Brendan Fraser renaissance.
Mm-hmm.
Yay!
America, with the whole world. It's almost like a renaissance indeed. It's almost.
I think they are calling it the Brendanisance.
Yeah, there you go.
Brendanisance.
Which I've also adapted.
Well, yeah,
sure,
I mean, Brendan, you're a fan because
you've
got the same name, and there's not a ton of other Brendans out there.
Well, I mean, again, being older than him. Wait, am I? I don't know.
It's probably close.
Maybe it's close, but he was the first in my lifespan that boosted the name.
You're almost the exact. He's a little bit older than you, like a couple months.
Okay, but in other words, like I was the only Brendan I ever met for a long time, especially in the South. And then there's a famous Brendan who, unfortunately, is much more handsome and successful than me. But I was still like, "See, it's a cool name." I was like, "See, it's a cool name," and then I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And now to this day, when I say, "Oh, my name is Brendan," and people go like, "Oh, like Brendan Fraser," I'm like,
"Yeah."
Yeah, exactly like.
Oh, no, and he had two things. Number one, not a lot of Brendans and not a lot of Frasers. Constantly the Brendan Fraser. But
and I've only been training myself to say it correctly now for a while because I thought it was Fraser.
But it does feel like the Brendanisance is a lot of people, and certainly he's back doing stuff. But it is almost like everybody just went, "Hey, I think we like that guy, don't we?" Like it's not like he. I mean, certainly there are things in his personal life you can look at, but it's not like he really like burnt out in Hollywood. It was just kind of like, all of a sudden everybody just went like,
he just gently faded to the background for a while.
And he's even said that he goes like, "I never went anywhere, man. I still wanted to act like."
So one thing I'm going to do now is what I do on the other podcast.
Yes, which bring us to
because
the actual
we have
plot.
not started the movie. We got through the.
We're in the middle of the.
We're in the 1920s.
We're in the 1920s.
We've at least gotten that far.
We're in the correct decade. So Brett, he's out here with the what is this, like the French Foreign Legion?
French, yeah.
We are at Hamunaptra, the city of the dead, which somehow the Foreign Legion has discovered, and they're trying to actually hold it off from local Bedouins, like the
Tuaregs.
Thank you. And up above them, watching the whole time, or the Magi are just like, I hope they all kill each other. Haha. And
Oded Fair, such a badass when he's just like, yes. And that whole thing when he goes, so the tomb remains undiscovered.
Sure.
This
this
guy rules, man.
With cool ass tattoos on his cheeks.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get those next week, by the way.
Oh, good. The Stevens, did he say this in the comment? I did see a thing that said originally the whole idea was they were going to be completely covered in tattoos. And Stephen Summers' comment was, "Oh, you don't cover up that face."
Yes, exactly. He was like, I saw him and I was like, I can't cover his face up. And he was like, I'm glad we didn't, because Oded Fair, and like, right, this is 1999, 2000, kind of the beginning. Like, there were a bunch of fan sites for Ardeth Bay.
Yeah, man.
Oh, wow.
Ardeth Bay rules in this movie. And I gotta say, Oded Fehr still out there. He's on Star Trek Discovery right now, and I'd say now there's the whole Silver Fox thing with him. People love him with the gray beard and stuff.
Again, this is all very close to my life. Anyway,
I know, yeah, just constantly. So we get this, and man, John's gonna talk about guns some more. Rick O'Connell putting that bullet in his teeth while he's reloading the rifle. That's just cool as hell, man. And he's dual wielding 45s at a certain point.
You're having very specific reactions that I wish I could join you on. He does look like a badass, and another thing I appreciate.
Well, and he's
I
only
don't have the gun
badass
knowledge
right?
that you have.
No,
but I
You do. No.
appreciate that they are. I know that they are being correct.
Yes.
The constant reloading, and then later the guy fanning.
Yeah.
The Americans who
they do the
By
thing.
the way, if you ever want dumb Americans in a TV show or movie, they're going to be Texans or Southerners. And I'm like, oh, dude, come on.
That's
one of them be from Boston or something. I'm like, come on, it's
I don't
too
know.
easy.
There's
They're
a lot
Americans. We don't know jack shit, but we heard there's some gold.
Hey, man, speaking of Billy, we did have Billy Campbell as badass Texan in Bram Stoker's Dracula, though.
That's
so
true.
that was, and he is so cool in that movie.
Oh yes,
but
anyway,
no. The thing I was gonna say about what you're talking about with the guns is not only are they accurate to the period, but they're actually like they do a thing we always complain about this in the action shelf is like the limited reloading. The idea you have to cock the guns can actually be part of action and thrills.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's the thing. Like unlimited ammo is actually just boring storytelling too.
Yes.
And so the idea that Rick keeps having to put these rounds in this rifle, and I do like you talk about he's a badass. He's the only. Everyone else kind of sucks for the most part. Especially, let's get to a character who I loved more as a kid than I do now. But I still.
You mean the not at all problematic character who's played by a really good actor who I like a lot,
Kevin J. O'Connor as
I love
Benny,
him.
who talk about a Stephen Sommers regular. He's being pulled from Deep Rising, a movie where he apparently just improvised his way into being a main character. And he's basically the same guy in that.
I told Olivia, this friend of Panel Up.
No, she's been on here.
Olivia,
She did
this.
Interview with the
most
Vampire.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And she's coming back for Queen of the Damned, unfortunately.
I'm sure she's super excited about that.
Yeah.
I told her the most important note that I took, and this probably means nothing to either of you because it is very modern parlance, but Kevin J. O'Connor's is Stephen Sommers' poor little meow meow, which just means that he is usually playing a son of a bitch who is extremely pathetic, and I love that for him.
Except
it is a character thing that he can do a lot of different things, but he nails that type. And I've seen him without doing brown face do the same kind of character where it's like the kind of weirdly lovable weasel where it's always like, I am sort of just this weak guy, but you kind of like me anyway, and I'm probably going to turn on you, but you still kind of like me for some reason because I'm kind of funny.
Elliot,
And
I have a feeling you're
he's
gonna
good here.
I have a feeling you're gonna go with me on this, Elliot. He's great in Lord of Illusions.
Yes. Oh man, talk about a pathetic man.
Yeah.
Oh, I love him so much.
I know you're a
Benny
Barker
is-
fan. Yeah, Benny.
Benny is Eastern European.
I was gonna say I don't know where Benny's from.
No, he literally is.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. I didn't want to push back entirely on the brown face thing, but I don't know where this accent is from. Where did they say where he's actually from?
I did not read that at all.
I never. They were like, I knew this already, and I don't remember how I knew this. If it was just kind of a thing that I had thought, and then I read somewhere like, oh, confirm. But they do. I mean, they do say on the commentary that like that could probably that was probably confusing folks because of the fez. But
also,
Benny is I think he's Hungarian.
The
They've
IMDb
also
lists him as
given
Benny
him
Gabor.
this dark eyeliner
Yeah.
stuff, which is again sort of like they've indicated. Well, he may be Middle Eastern of some variety. And if that's not the case, great. And I'm not canceling the character, but I'm sitting there going like, oh, it seems like they're leaning into, you're my friend who is a local guy.
But what I like
he was part of the French. He was part of the French Foreign Legion.
But the Foreign Legion
Like-
is made up of all nationalities.
That's the point, though. That's what I'm saying. Is
including
they
an
come
American.
an American
So-
and this guy named Gabor.
Yes. So if that's the case, great.
I
I
Yeah.
love the actor.
No, this is not a case this is not a Lost World Jurassic Park case of them having a British guy in literal brown face
fact-
playing an Indian.
Actually, I gotta say, one of the things that is very refreshing for a movie from 1999 is there are a lot of Middle Eastern actors in this movie.
Yep, there are.
Because we have Eric Avari, who we'll get to, who is one of those guys you don't know his name, but you've seen him in every movie ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the, so anyway, yeah, we get this whole thing. Anyway, all this leads to is everybody gets killed, but we get the sands that kick up here when Rick O'Connell is out in this battle, and it opens up the face in the sand that is the entrance to the tomb.
Yeah, so they've disturbed
It looks cool as hell.
The place enough to where there is supernatural kickback, but still the grave has not been discovered. But Rick is on his own because Benny deserts him, and that's
Benny runs off
Benny's
before we
thing.
even get into the battle, right? I mean,
right.
he's out
And
of there.
then Rick runs because basically all of his men have been slaughtered, and he's up against this statue, which we saw in the opening, but we also saw it age digitally. Wow, that was
Mhm.
exciting. A statue of Anubis. And he's standing in front of it, and here come the guys are going to kill him, and suddenly they run away because they realize what statue that is, and
Horses get spooked
the horses get spooked, so they run
because
off.
of magic.
We're
Mhm.
used to this in mummy movies too. Though usually it's like a dig site, and it's the, because all the other classic mummy movies. I will say that I also like that this movie has actually heroic characters, not just white guy forcing people to dig for him like so many of the other ones. But usually that's the point when they get to the tomb and the guys go, "Oh, there is death here," and they rush off and leave everybody. So I like that this is a more action-packed scene that accomplishes that and isn't just, once again,
Because we
Well,
get
yeah.
that later.
right. Well, yeah, I do like that we do still have the dumbass white American guys on their own thing. Those are just the other guys. And yes,
Yeah.
they are dumb hicks.
But in this case, it
Except
is
for the dumb British guy, which
Oh, yeah.
I do. I love that. It's like the hoity-toity Brit grave robbing and getting what's coming to
Oh,
him.
he's also key, and especially in the Hammer movies, you get a lot of those guys in their mummy
you do.
movies. I also love fake Rick O'Connell, the guy who thinks he's the action hero, and with the cowboy with the twirling. Like, it's just like, no, you're not the main guy.
In this case, what's he is again stating for the audience, this is going to be an action adventure movie. So again, it's not archaeology based in the beginning,
Right.
And in fact, even though Rick seems to know comes to know quite a bit about it, was that just a post that the French Foreign Legion ended up at? Was that part of a dig on purpose? But he's not digging in the beginning. He
No.
stumbled upon this by accident. Later, he has the key. He knows all about Hymenoptera. So I don't know. We're not exactly sure.
Well,
where...
3 years pass when we go from this, because the Magi say, should we kill Rick O'Connell? And Ardith Bay is like, no, let him go. Whatever.
He goes, the desert will kill him. And instead it cuts to 3 years later. And
I mean, fair guess, except for he doesn't know he's Rick O'Connell and he's the biggest badass.
Yeah. He didn't know that was the main character.
Yeah.
So.
No. He's the main
the
character.
desert
of
would
this
kill
movie.
him. Wait, where is he on the poster? Oh,
Damn it.
No,
Shit.
I think
desert.
I think we'll
Yeah.
see him again.
I think he's going to kick the desert.
So we go to what are we in? Is this Cairo now? Yeah, we're Cairo.
Yeah, now we're at the Cairo Museum where Evie.
See, I like this because this also feels very like 30s or 40s screwball
I
comedy.
like this because she is, well, not just she sells this. It's adorable, and I love the trope. It is a trope, and it's very 30s, by the way, of the brilliant, unbelievably beautiful person who doesn't know they're beautiful. She's just a brainiac, and so she's clumsy. I know that's a little demeaning, though she gets her action beats in the film.
I do like
Yeah.
the way
She
they
is like,
write
oh,
her.
I mean,
Yeah.
because it's I mean, like, right, it's less tropey because it is the start of an arc rather
Yeah.
than her whole character.
Right. If she
And
stayed that way for the whole movie, then she is literally Willie from Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they do this thing. The thing I was thinking about with her that I love so much about the character Vivi is they always have her be strong and badass in her own skill set. This is a thing that drives me insane in a lot of movies. They go, all right, now we need the female lead to suddenly get awesome. And you're like, why does this scientist know how to use a machine gun now? That doesn't make sense to me. I always bring up that most recent Predator. Well, not the most recent. The most recent Predator movie is awesome. But The Predator, where you have Olivia Munn, brilliantly cast as a genius biologist, of course. No James Bond-esque kind of thing there. But and then all of a sudden she just picks up a machine gun. I'm going, wait, what the hell? So I do like that in this movie, it is always her smarts, her knowledge, and she gains the bravery and stuff throughout the movie.
And she literally says as much.
Yes.
Which in a I think kind of brilliant scene, because it's very like expository, but like it works. Like, I am proud of what I am.
Yeah.
A librarian.
I know, and that's
and that is
great.
actually a great line.
And actually, according to the IMDb here, she was the only person considered. Summers knew immediately that it had to be Rachel. He had seen her in something and was like, "Yep." And also because she does have the charm, the looks, the sort of luminescence of an old movie actress in that way.
Yeah. And she can ride the fuck out of a camel.
Oh yeah.
Indeed.
So she's introduced in the library where a wacky incident happens where she topples every one of the bookshelves.
Yep.
It's comedic, and she's like, oh, and again,
Oops.
God, she's so freaking adorable, man. I'm sorry. But the whole look on her face when she's just like going, oops.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, I love the whole balancing thing when she's on the ladder and it's just
where
still,
she's
like,
tottering.
I mean,
on top
that
of
feels
the
very
ladder.
like bringing a baby kind of thing, you know?
It's very much that.
Yeah.
Except for, as much as I love bringing up baby, if that person were in real life, I would strangle her very quickly. I love bringing up baby.
As you should.
Character that, Katharine Hepburn plays.
And so, yes, we get the disapproving curator or whatever of the museum, Dr. Terrence Bay, but spelled differently than Ardeth Bay. Although I would have loved if they were somehow related. I would have loved a whole father-son dynamic. But that would have been more movie that they don't need. Because this thing comes in at a tight 2 hours, 4 minutes. Perfect.
Yeah, there was a lot in the discussions that they were kind of having about like, oh, this got cut and this got cut. It was kind of like with the really quick with the the Foreign Legion being there, like there was stuff about why they were there. There was stuff about Benny's backstory, which I think maybe that's why I know that he's Hungarian, because I've read stuff about that.
Sure.
There's scenes that they were gonna have that kind of played the hand of the Magi and the curator are in on it together.
Yeah.
They were going to be earlier, but they thought that would tip their hand.
Well,
like, there's a lot of stuff that they were like, this was going to be in there, but this movie needed to be zippier. So, like, we cut as much stuff out that could be and still have the movie make sense and be, like, moving.
There's a lesson I'd like some modern filmmakers to think about, because this movie would be 2 hours 20 at least today. They do not cut anything out of a movie today. My God. It is. I can't go to a movie that's not under 2.5, it seems like. My God. Especially like a blockbuster thing. Anyway, so we get the introduction of Jonathan here in our fake sort of, it's a legit jump scare, but it's a fake out jump scare. And we get the very charming John Hannah.
Yeah.
John Hannah, another one of those guys who's in a billion things.
Yeah.
A billion things. And I will also say, not just because he is British and she is British, but they're just...
Hey, he's Scottish.
Oh, Scottish, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, he is Scottish, but he is definitely doing a sort of caddish British fellow in this.
And actually,
her, and I was going to say that they really sell brother sister.
They have a great dynamic.
She's always been the more serious, but she's the younger. He's the older, who's extremely irresponsible. Yet we do find out they do pick and choose what people know at certain times. That's a screenwriting thing, because when we get to the scene where literally we have her explaining to Rick how bodies are mummified, and I'm like, this is a guy who's been throwing around Hymenoptera and all this. I'm like, I think even grade schoolers know about how people are mummified. That was for the audience.
Sure.
So here, depending on the scene, they either have him being an idiot, or he does have some knowledge. It's just he's a drinker and he's a party boy, and it's only in certain instances he's like, oh wait, no, I do know this. And you're like, okay, great. So he's fairly competent, and he's another stock character of one who is not capable, but through his clumsiness somehow always comes out on top.
And that's the thing, though, when you talk about
character.
the casting of this, you can take a very tropey character like
Yep.
this, and if you put a really good actor in there
Yep.
and give
Yep.
him some good lines, and I gotta say, shout out to him for having one of the best single scenes of the year in the opening scene of The Last of Us this year. He's in the pilot as the scientist who explains how the mushrooms work.
Oh yeah.
And it
shit.
is
Yeah,
absolutely
in the very opening.
He's in it for maybe 5 minutes, but it's all a science monologue from him. And he legit was. I was going like, "Oh shit, this could happen, couldn't it?" He was that convincing to me. And of course, he was also great in Chernobyl, which is how he ended up in that. But
Shit. I don't know
he's one of
either.
those guys too who I love, who can be in this and be super goofy, or be deadly serious in Chernobyl. Just I love these classically trained UK actors where they're just like, yeah, man, it's all the same. Like it's all there's no sense about like, well, this is a mommy movie, so I'll kind of phone it in, you know.
Yeah.
So he's great, and yes, he's brought her. He goes, did I like this whole dynamic of like, did I actually find something valuable this time, Evie? Is this
Yeah.
anything like implying that this has happened for years before?
Yeah.
Just like, I think I found another trinket.
Yeah. And it turns out to be unbelievably valuable. He claims that he found it on a dig.
Mhm.
It is, in fact, a key. She recognizes it, pops it open. She recognizes what it is.
Yeah.
And then inside is a map to Hymenoptera. And she's
Mhm.
like, oh my God, you found something amazing. Of course, well, she'll show it to her boss, who's like, oh man, this stuff is crap. There's no such thing as Hymenoptera. It's a fairy tale.
You'd think
Oops,
he'd
I
still
accidentally
be.
lit the map on fire.
Yeah,
I wonder if he did that on purpose.
that's what I mean. It's like, but I like at no point is she like, what the hell, man? This is still like valuable.
Yeah. So, but she's like, crap. And then she asks her brother, where did you really get it? Because he admits, all right, look, I pickpocketed it off a guy that I met while I was drunk. And so this is how we finally bring our two lovers together.
Mm-hmm. And
we go to a jail.
We go to a jail with a real scruffy looking Rick O'Connell. And
I like that he's scruffy looking, but he's still Hollywood scruffy looking.
Oh,
like
yeah.
the hair is,
Yeah.
because he's been in jail for a while, and it's also 3 years later, so his hair is all grown out to a George of the Jungle length. But I
Yeah.
like the fact that he's in this prison and he's still parting it like on the side, so
Oh,
it has
well,
this kind
yeah.
of like
And he
model
doesn't
sweep to it.
He
I'm
doesn't
like,
have the
no, dude.
full beard. He just has the perfect
The
growth of
scruff.
beard.
Scruff.
Yeah,
Scruff.
that's just how it happens. It just stops
Yeah,
there.
and of course his teeth are white and
Oh,
perfect.
always, yeah. I mean, like I said, that's what I like about this movie. Though, when you talk about it's a movie. It's a big studio. Everybody's always gorgeous, even when they're not gorgeous. Like it's thing where it's all just going like, oh yeah, I guess that's Brendan Fraser looking bad.
And she's like, well, how did you get it from this guy? And I need to talk to him. And they do pull him out. And here's the thing is that the jail keeper, who is this guy that goes with him?
I kept
funny, but
Warden.
oh, he's the warden.
Sorry.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
the warden. Yes,
Okay.
that's right, the warden.
I wasn't sure what to call him in my notes. I'm like, is he a sheriff or a thing? But yeah, warden makes sense.
He's a
And-
warden. And he's like, I'm not going to free him. You
And
you
yeah.
can talk to him for a little bit, but I'm going to hang him.
I'm hanging this guy.
Yeah.
What are they
They
hanging
basically
him for?
say for having too good a time.
Yeah. Everyone likes this guy more than the rest of us, so we got to get rid of him.
What's the hanging offense for having too good a time? I'm both curious and frightened.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really
just-
and I really want to know, and I also really don't want to know.
Yeah, they never tell. So,
Yeah. He's a scoundrel, though. This is the Han Solo kind of, right? The just like, this. He's once again studio movie scoundrel, and he's really not a bad person at all.
No, not at all. What a sweetheart this guy.
Yeah.
So, they're about to hang him, and they actually tried to bribe the guy and say, "We'll give you this much to free him." And he's like, "Nope, he's got to hang." And then they do hang him, and he dies, and it's so weird.
Of course, this is one of several times Brendan Fraser almost died making these movies.
Yeah.
Was this?
He was like to the stunt guy. He was like, for the close shot, like, you got to pull. I got to look like I'm actually like choking to death, and then he does pass out.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know.
Yeah.
That.
Brendan Fraser. Look up some interviews with him, or I don't know. Did you listen to his commentary as well, Elliot?
I did not, because I had listened to the Kevin J. O'Connor, Arnold Vosloo, Oded Fair commentary before, and then I was going to do both the Stephen Sommers and the Brendan Fraser one, but I happened to, when I was trying to look up the dates for when the commentaries happened, I found some people had reviewed the commentaries, and every review of the Brendan Fraser one was like, it's just a lot of him saying, "Oof, that looked like it hurt," and "nice," and
I will say,
"Hey guys, sorry, I'm still here. I'm just really captivated by the movie."
I will say, generally don't let just one actor do a commentary.
Well, they need to be prompted a lot.
Yeah, and on the one hand, same.
Yeah, sure.
I'm also very captivated by this movie. But on the other hand, too, like, I think that the reason I think they had these 3 commentary tracks because, like, I think all of that was planned because this was such a big release and there was so much around it that, like, clearly they recorded these commentaries so that when it did come out on DVD, they could have the special, like, hey, you loved The Mummy, right? Watch all this shit and have all this commentary from the
totally
big
why I
people in
bought
The
it.
Mummy.
Yeah. I think I did listen to that Brendan Fraser commentary back in the day when it came out. But yeah, it is sort of that. I mean, of course, nothing. And just do yourself a favor, everybody, and Google Arnold Schwarzenegger audio commentaries because they're the best thing. They're the best thing ever because he has no idea what the fuck he's talking about. He's so confused about. He seems to have forgotten every movie he's in. Anyway, but the thing I was gonna say is, look up any interview with Brendan Fraser talking about these movies. The beating he took across all 3 of these movies, the many surgeries, a lot of, I think, part of his disappearance from Hollywood was he literally like destroyed his back and knee because he does, and you can see it. Most of his own stunts, he's always throwing himself around in these movies, and but yes, in this case, they did talk about that he did really almost die from being hanged here.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Guy's hardcore, man. But of course they do. I always thought also, once again, just the disturbing thing of this warden who's just a little part, but I love his little thing where he just goes like, "Well, his neck didn't break. Now we gotta watch him strangle," and he's almost like, "Oh, that'll be pretty good though." So they let's see, they get him out of there though. Oh, because she offers him a cut of whatever treasure they find.
She finally just says, "We know the way to Hamunaptra," and he's like, "Really?" And the whole thing is the Hamunaptra is supposedly folkloric, but it's the city of the dead where the earliest pharaohs kept all of their golden treasure, the treasure of Egypt. So essentially, it's like El Dorado. Yeah, it's like El Dorado, and he's like, "Are you serious?" And she's like, "Absolutely." And he's the key to it. I need him. So he's like, "Great, I'll take a cut of that, and I'll go with you to ensure my investment."
And also, I'll
by the
definitely
way, I don't like bugs.
It's also one of those things where it's like, I love everyone aside from your central heroes is all just like, more dead meat. Yes, more meat for the slaughter.
You can tell by the time they do introduce the other group, you're like going, "Oh, they just wanted to up the body count."
Totally.
There's no way they're gonna like team up and be friends. It's like, no, they're all. And one by one, they're going to be picked off, and they are.
Resident sicko on the show. I'm here going, yes, more. Kill more of them. I hope he really gets it. And
I hope a CD creature just grabs him. Just grabs him.
So yes, they and of course, earlier when he was in the prison, of course, Rick O'Connell did kiss Evie. And
Oh yes.
Jonathan is making fun of her for that, going, she's like, I would want to kiss that disgusting man. Turn around to GQ cover model
Yeah.
Brendan Fraser going, what were you
Yes.
saying?
It's a good cut because he's a scruffy looking, well, incredibly handsome, scruffy looking dude. But then she's
He's
like,
still-
oh, he was disgusting. I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to kiss such a man. And they do an immediate cut. They're on the dock. He suddenly shows up, perfect suit.
Well, and the haircut. The haircut is iconic, right? The way it comes down and frames his face perfectly.
I've never seen John Campbell across our podcast just gush. It is crazy how in love you are with this man, and I support it.
Absolutely. Like I said,
I want you and Brendan Fraser to be happy for the rest of your life.
I want that too, more than anything. His wife has a problem with it. I keep telling
But when he does show up, it is. I mean, she got a great introduction, obviously, and she's adorable and gorgeous. But this is where literally Summers being smart. He gets the glamour shot.
Yes.
It is literally about our hero walking in, and everybody, man, woman, animal, whatever, is sitting there in the movie theater going, "Holy crap!"
I said, I mean,
Sun perfectly behind him. He's just lit, and you're like, wow.
And that's very much what it is. I mean, it is me gushing
and
because
also he's just very tall, broad-shouldered.
He's like if you designed a movie star, right? Like he just shows up,
effortlessly charming, and he's just like, what?
And
he's anyone I know.
Yeah.
He's like, what are you reacting to? Just how great I look?
Yeah, it's probably just about that, right? But so he shows up. I also get
like,
one of my other favorite things about this movie is the score. This Jerry Goldsmith score.
It's good score.
Is fantastic, and every moment he does the heroic swells, and I also love the love theme is very good too.
Oh yeah,
it's really good. Like, and I also I always, as many times as I've seen this, I'm going like, there's not a terrible 90s pop song. No, thank God the end credits are just the Jerry Goldsmith score, because so many movies I love from this era start in on, they start the theme to the movie. The Mask of Zorro is one that always comes up. I love that movie, but like great score, but then they have a song set to the score with like Mark Anthony. I'm going, no, just play the score. What are you doing?
Let's not forget that I think Taylor Dane did a song for the Shadow soundtrack.
Oh God, that Shadow song is horrible.
Yes, it is.
It's really bad. There's also one for Batman: Mask of the Phantasm that's very similar.
Wow!
It's also very like 90s.
Doesn't matter. That movie is amazing. So
no, that movie is amazing, but it's also one of those where I'm like, oh God, right? When that ends. Okay, so yeah, so they arrive at the box. He's looking handsome. We see the other guys on the boat who are not as handsome, and also just kind of there's an air about them that like these guys aren't for real. They're mercenaries. They're bad guys of a sort.
Sure.
And he doesn't.
I think I don't know. I think they get painted as more incompetent than like villainous.
Yeah, that's why. I guess that's why I was sort of like bad guys of a sort. They're just they're like the guys who are like, yeah, man. It's interesting because everybody's going out here, but they're more the like, yeah, we're here for the treasure, and we don't really give a shit about any of this.
Yeah, and they're not villainous. Otherwise, they would be actively trying to sabotage or hurt the other group, and they're not.
They're
but
so
they
clearly.
Like, we're gonna make it there before you and get all that gold.
They're the jocks, right? They're the guys in the high school movie going like, whatever, bro.
We got ourselves a smart guy, a Brit. He's gonna help us get that gold.
Yeah.
And we got your little friend Benny. We don't know where he's from, but he's going to help us get that gold.
He's got an implaceable accent.
Yeah, and we're going to sit around and look at our guns a lot.
And I have to imagine, I don't know, but I have to imagine similar to Deep Rising, a lot of Kevin J. O'Connor riffing in this thing.
Possibly.
Yeah. I will say, from what they were saying, it sounds like John Hannah did more of the improvising.
Oh, that also makes sense.
Kevin J. O'Connor had some bits.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
but I do like here that again, it's Rick really is all business. He's quite taken.
This is where he rolls out the leather thing full of all the guns, and he's putting them together. And
yeah, but also he's like, look, if we're gonna do this, we'll do it the right way. So the whole thing of him finding Jonathan, gambling with these guys, drinking, and telling them all these secrets. I love the whole bit about he's like going, yeah, we should probably get to sleep pretty soon, don't you think? And he does the whole thing where he just squeezes the hell out of his shoulder.
Good night,
and Jonathan's
Jonathan.
Like, yeah, okay, great.
great. All this stuff, it's all that stuff works. It
does.
It's so sad that this didn't become a more successful franchise, because all the dynamics are there. All the chemistry is right here in this movie. It doesn't feel forced. So yeah, let's see here. So yeah, Benny snuck aboard, and I do like Rick O'Connell just throwing him off the boat.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
That's very Indiana Jones, just like, nope.
Actually, he didn't sneak aboard. He's with the Americans.
I mean,
He's with
there
them. Sorry,
the Americans.
it's a reveal.
Yeah.
Rick doesn't know. Yeah.
But the whole thing is, yeah, that's so great. He's like going, oh hey Benny. He's like, no, it's fine, and oh there you go, and just chucks him over the side. That's very good.
And the other thing is, I gotta say, this movie also, for as zippy as it is, it also shows a lot of patience. Like, we're 30-ish minutes into the movie, and
you seen a mummy yet? You have not.
There's no mummy, because our threat here is when we go to Evie's room here on the boat, all of a sudden there's a knife to her throat, and you're like, oh shit, wait, no, but it's not a mummy.
Mm-hmm.
We're not there yet. And that leads to this big gunfight as the boat's on fire.
Yeah, the Magi has come. They know that two groups are trying to find Hymenoptera, and one of them has the key. So that's the whole thing. They've broken. I don't know how they found out. Oh, I know how they found out. They found out through her boss. That's
right. The curator.
Yeah.
The curator. So anyway, they sneak on board, and they're just searching through stuff, and they're going to set the boat on fire. And they do. They get the key, but the guy gets caught on fire, as in the Magi guy. And that's another one where Jonathan, just through clumsiness, succeeds.
That's kind of
that's by the way, that's always an action shelf thumbs up is a guy on fire. We love a guy on fire.
And then the Americans are shooting at the Magi, and that's where Jonathan does this whole bit about Americans, because they're just going woohoo, bang 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 bang.
Bang. Well, that is what it's like every day here in America. Obviously, they're just nonstop.
I lived in Texas for like 12 years, man.
And nonstop firing of guns into the air.
Fanning. Constant fanning.
Yeah.
Or I guess it'd be the other way, because I'm right-handed. Anyway. But yeah, so it's a good scene, and then they escape overboard.
Yeah.
And there's this whole bit about the two groups separate, obviously,
great,
as they're
man.
swimming across the river.
Oh,
and
so classic.
This is a
then
classic
he
mummy
gets over
scene.
to the side with the Americans, and he has the horses, and he yells across, because I like the way they both groups ended up together, but on opposite sides.
Yeah.
So over there is Rick with Evie and Jonathan and the warden, and Benny's like going, "Hey!" He's yelling across, "Hey, Rick! Looks like I've got all the horses." And Rick just yells back,
"Hey, Benny!
Hey,
looks to me like you're on the wrong side of the river."
Dude, that is burned. If I think of Brendan Fraser, that's within my first thoughts of, looks like you're on the wrong side of the river.
Yeah, and so now it's all about.
Can't imagine DiCaprio doing that.
Weirdly, they're
looks like you're on the wrong side of the river, man.
Because even though they're on the right side of the river, they don't have the horses. They have to go get camels. That's in the next scene.
Camels.
And I mean, I didn't watch any behind the scenes or listen to commentary, but even in some of the real fast riding scenes, it's them. I'm like, they must have learned how to ride camels for this damn movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, even when they're doing the racing stuff, I was like, wow. Until the ones where they're literally talking at each other, and you're like going, they are riding on something on a soundstage. How you doing over there?
Well, they were at least riding on something in the desert, because all the stuff that's in the desert was filmed in the desert.
Okay, yeah. So they were bouncing up and down on something actually in the desert.
I gotta say, you could. Oh, what a pleasure that is. We've seen so many stage-bound mummy movies on this show where they are trying to tell me it's the desert and we're on a soundstage.
Well, there's still plenty of very soundstagey things here,
but you get the big vistas and moments.
You're seeing money spent on making it look, or they're trying to fool you in a good way.
Yeah,
I guess. But this, I don't want to skip over this too, because Evie, when the boat goes up, she's in her nightgown. She was almost killed by Guy.
The hook guy.
The Hook guy. Exactly, had the hook.
That's
in
what they
his
call
hand.
him in the commentary. They call him Hook Guy.
Well, you look at the credits, and a lot of characters don't even have last names.
Yeah.
It is like the curator, and so like, wow, I guess they really never did say what their names were.
Yeah,
But
he is credited officially as just Hook. So
yeah, Hook. So, but anyway, she's almost killed. So she ends up on the other side of the river, and she's like, we don't have horses. I don't have any clothes. This is all I got.
Yeah.
And so the next scene is her glamour shot.
Change.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next scene is her glamour shot while they get the camels. She comes out of one of the tents because she's now gotten like local garb.
They both have a scene. I love that they each have a scene where they're like, "Why, you're beautiful."
Yeah, this like she had hers before where he showed up, and now he's like going, nice pretty lady,
and
a librarian, very nice.
I did think the Jerry Lewis impression was strange for Fraser, but beyond that,
I am willing to bet he does do a Jerry Lewis impression.
He's just a goof. I just love what a goof he is.
Let's go make another mommy movie.
Man, who isn't tearing up watching any Comic-Con where somebody says how great he is and he cries and it's just like, oh shucks, I don't know, man. Like you just like
he's too
what
pure for this world.
He just is. He was just on Marin. People should listen to that because he is just like, I don't know, man.
We may eventually get to see Batgirl because of this upcoming legal battle.
God, I hope so. I want to see Batgirl, and I hear he's amazing in it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so now they've got camels. They're on their way.
Now they've got camels.
The other group kind of catches up to them,
mm-hmm.
and then it becomes horses versus camels. They actually line up like it's going to be a race.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm suddenly reminded of a movie you guys probably haven't heard of, but in John's case, I'm willing to bet he's probably heard of it, maybe seen it. Holmes.
I'm aware of it. I haven't actually seen it, but yes.
It was a live action, I think, Disney movie from the 70s, and it was based on a true story where
terrible title.
During the I think the US-Mexican War, like Pancho Villa, all that stuff, the US military investigated swapping out camels for horses because
doesn't it sound like a great movie too? No.
No, so they basically, it's like the U.S. military riding camels in the 1913, and you're like, oh great, it's not good. But there's also,
is this movie? I'm just looking at that movie is nowhere too. Like you cannot track that movie down.
Humps.
Yeah, it's got Humps.
HAWMPS 1976. Humps.
That's not on Disney Plus.
No. Like I said,
there's still things they aren't putting on there. But
no, there's I'm just looking like it's nowhere. You can't get a copy of it on anything.
Horse races in the same thing, and that's what I thought of. Anyway,
that's probably. I mean, maybe that's a reference that Stephen Sommers is pulling.
Oh well, I'm sure there were Humps jokes on set because he's of an age where he would know.
I will say, Steven, back when we were doing the core Universal Monster movies, all those DVDs came out during the time of this movie. So Stephen Sommers is always on there talking about all the monsters. It's always like, and Stephen Sommers going, I always loved the Frankenstein creature because it's like, but the thing he did say, and it's interesting, and it just reminds me, it just hit me now. He goes, the mummy was always the scariest one though. He goes, because Dracula's sexy, the Frankenstein monster's sad, but the mummy, that guy's scary. Like, I guess. He's kind of sad too, though.
That is one of the best makeup jobs ever, even though Boris Karloff does not appear as the mummy very long.
But he's kind of if you go back and watch that original, he's kind of a sad sack too.
Well, it is just Dracula.
So
non-sexy Dracula.
Coincidentally, I have been listening to the audiobook of It.
Oh, nice.
And I mean, for Ben, I think the Ben Hanscom kid, like that is the pull for him for the thing that Pennywise shows up is the Boris Karloff mummy.
Yeah.
Doesn't
and so
like at one point also show up as the teenage werewolf from I Was a Teenage
for
Werewolf?
Richie.
I remember.
Yes.
That.
Yeah.
So like I think for an age, like, and I think Stephen Sommers was probably of that age where like that realistically that could have been the thing. I mean,
that's
hell, it's a little more like a little more scary, but still pretty goofy. Like this Mummy was kind of that for me.
Totally. Well, I do think
like...
the thing you're talking about, Brandon, when you're talking about some of the goofy stuff, is I do like that they always keep Vosloo though very like steely and focused and creepy. You know, I mean, he never winks in his performance.
No, he doesn't. And actually, no one's winking in their performance.
No.
It's the tone of the movie.
But like they don't. You talk
that
about
would have been very wrong and
the
very
balance.
Embarrassing. But he's
and I can totally see
locked in on being Imhotep.
That's what I mean. And that's the thing I like about it is he's always just like.
And also, he worked out.
Oh yeah,
like,
well sure, yeah.
Him walking around in his like just Egyptian undies, I'm like, good God, man, that's confidence.
Well, let's get to
so there were like a not insignificant number of shots in this movie that they had to edit around quite a bit because there was a lot of like ass and dick out.
What?
This.
I mean,
Universal, release the dick cut. That's what we're saying.
Release the dick cut.
When this started, when I did the rental, and it was like PG-13, and it actually said mild nudity. I was like, what?
I think they mean.
And then it started. No, it's definitely.
It's definitely Patricia Vasquez.
Yeah,
like 100%.
Because I mean, once again, you talk about like.
And I had forgotten. I was like, wow, she is just not wearing
that's anything. I mean, yeah. boy, that definitely hit me just going to this movie in the theater as like and you're just like, this is not what I was expecting to. Okay, movie, sure.
Yeah. So I was like, oh right, I totally forgot, and there you go. But knowing that Arnold was like, sorry, that just got away from me. Can I just put that back in?
Well,
Thank you.
It's so the Arnold Vosloo shot is. In the like a little bit later in the movie, like when he's raising the sand wall, the reason that shot tilts up is half to show the sand wall and half because his ass was completely out.
Wow.
And he was like, I don't mind at all.
He's like, I didn't skip ass day.
Yeah.
There was some note in here on the there's a lot of trivia. Here's the thing, I'm used to like there being 5 points of trivia because we watch movies that no one has ever heard of.
Who cares?
But I will say there was a thing about them having to digitally fill in Rachel Weisz's nightgown when it's wet.
Yes.
And they did have to like gauze it up because that would have
basically see-through.
Yeah.
Well, I okay. I can't say that my brain didn't go there, but I mean, the whole thing is she's in a white nightgown, and if it's a thick enough cotton nightgown, even if it gets wet, you're not going to see anything as far as I know. And I don't know what she's wearing under it. But there were a couple of shots when he's about to toss her off the boat, like we need to go now and all that stuff, where, you know, there's like a lamp behind her and you're like going, oh, that's silhouette-y. And that is indicating that she's pretty much not wearing anything.
We're almost back in Hammer movies now.
Exactly. And so then when she goes in the water, I was like, I wonder if, and you just answered the question.
Yeah,
they were probably like, oh,
well,
no,
and there's
still, even if she was wearing pasties or something, they're probably like going, it's too obvious she's wearing pasties now.
Right.
So
it was partially the PG-13 that they had to stick to, and partially she had one of her contract clauses.
Yeah, that's
I'm
another
sad
thing.
That she had to have a contract.
Well, that's that's something I don't think a lot of people think about. Those like if you see any
PG-13 movie,
any body part of any actor.
Well, I think that's just generally like a clause in her contract.
Well, that's I was gonna say that's the thing I don't think people think about is if you see any body part of any actor that has been negotiated, like it has to be great. So. Yeah. And I always just imagine sitting in those meetings going, I will show one nipple. And here and but it always fascinates me that the idea of that. But it's good that they do that, and obviously they're better about it. But
before we started this podcast, I did not let you know my wills and won'ts. I'll make sure I fill that out.
Yeah, you come on, man. You've been waiting. We've been waiting on that writer for years.
This much crack, nothing below, that kind of thing.
So it reminds me of also they did have to shave down the bulge of Namor in the new Black Panther movie too, which also
did they really?
Yeah.
Unconscionable.
They were afraid of the Submariners.
They were, and that's another one where I just go, imagine those effects artists going, I have to shave this guy's package down digitally.
What a weird job!
I would have gone on strike.
Yeah, this is unconscionable.
Weird job.
Yeah. All right.
What'd you do at work today, honey? I got rid of a guy's dick.
Yeah, he's got no dick now. So yeah, let's see. So well, let's get to let's get into the tomb itself here, because we do get when we oh, okay. Well, let's get to one of the most disturbing things as a kid is when the scarab goes into the guy. Right, that's pretty early here. When they're because we get both groups in different parts of the tomb.
Evie knows that, I mean, because they run into each other and they're like, we're going to take over the statue because we got here. And she's like, there's plenty to go around, but it's because she knows something they don't. She knows that there's a lower chamber. And so she's like, we'll find our own way. Hee, I have a key and I know there's a better place. Haha. So they go under the statue.
Yeah. Because the thing that we've talked about, the Americans are there for treasure specifically. And I mean, Jonathan is also there for treasure, but he's a good guy and he's funny, so it's fine. But Evie wants to go on this quest.
If you got jokes, we like you.
Yeah, specifically because of the Book of the Dead.
Right.
Yeah.
She is looking for this one.
She's not after.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. She's looking for the gold. And
the Book of Amun-Ra. Yeah. And they find the Book of the Dead.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's what she is after, and they're like, "Oh, you're after it because it's a gold book." And that's Rick. He's like, "Be honest, it's because it's a solid gold book." She goes, "No, the stuff inside of it. Are you kidding me? It's lost for thousands of years."
No, I'm a freaking nerd. Look at my glasses.
So I'm a gorgeous nerd.
Yeah.
Come on.
I will say she is a gorgeous nerd, but her thinking is kind of dumb here, only because she seems surprised that she finds the Book of the Dead underneath the statue of Anubis, and I'm like, well, Anubis, come on, God.
This is the 1920s, okay? We don't know all the things we know now.
No, Egyptology going back. It's like Anubis, god of the dead. You would not find the Book of Amun-Ra under Anubis.
And I think that's
and later she's like, oh, it's under Osiris or Horus. And you're like, right, god of the sun.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's part of her. That's also part of her character arc, though. Like, haha. Checkmate, actually. I've seen this movie a jillion times, so try again.
I'm just gonna sit back and let you two fight.
It's part of her character arc because, like, she wants to be part of this group of scholars, and she doesn't have enough field experience. So all of her knowledge is academic rather than and so she's like, she just believes what these guys have said,
and she's learning as she goes.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's another part of her arc is that she's like, oh, I am gaining all that experience because now that I'm here, this makes sense and da-da-da-da-da. And obviously she's key to all of it because otherwise Rick would have opened this instantly or whatever.
Say, though, that keeps her active as the intelligence character. She's not just going, I know this, therefore this. She's going, oh, wait, to this. It just makes her more active than, once again, otherwise, she could just become the info dump character.
So they do find the Book of the Dead, and
the Americans find it.
Yes, the Americans find it in the crate that also
exactly
has
who you don't want to be finding it, right?
No, I'm telling you. And what they find, what Rick and because underneath the legs of Anubis' statue, they find the sarcophagus. They're like, oh my God, and look, your key fits right in there.
Jonathan, of course, in his bumbling ways, is practicing his golf swing.
His golf swing.
because
that's crazy.
Because I just, once again, though, I just love how much he's like the 1930s boozing, kind of womanizing. Kind of
dandy.
Yeah, he's he's into that, and he's playing golf. He's a gentleman type.
Yeah.
And he doesn't, but yes, of course. And down comes the sarcophagus, which I love. It just lands just with a thud, and Eva just goes, oh my God, this is a sarcophagus.
This is how good this movie is, by the way. Casting and all the way across the board. There's a bit later in it that literally could have been in a cheesy ass live action Disney movie from the 60s, but these people play it. It's right at the end where finally Rick and Evie are having the romantic kiss, and her brother's just like, oh, well, blah, 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 look at them, they're kissing, and then he turns to the camel like, well, I always have you, and the camel's like, Mrr. That is such a cheesy kid movie beat. And it still plays because you got John Hannah.
John Hannah doing, and it's like it's
and this like, I still have you, my camel friend, and I laughed. It was adorable
because it's fun. It's funny,
and the camel on cue goes.
That's great. That camel's great.
So I have so much information.
I love how much
so
information.
You always
Yeah.
do your homework, Elliot. I really appreciate it.
I do. So any sounds the camels make that's just them reacting to a situation. Stephen Sommers was like,
Wow.
these camels were amazing because you can't train camels, you can't make them do stuff. So all this stuff the camels are doing, that's just them doing their thing.
Wow.
And it works so well.
I guess they're just reacting to, because in the case you turn, you're looking at them, they're like, okay, now am I supposed to blah blah blah? Perfect.
But no, I do like. Also, that feels like a beat from like an old '30s movie.
It does.
In fact, it actually feels like a better beat of what some of our beloved Ford and Foran, the comedy duo of our other Mummy movies, when they were trying to do their bits and their things. This is a
So
better.
good, those guys. So good.
The forgotten team of Ford and Foran. All right, so they find that. The others find the Book of the Dead, and yes, we basically get. This is all pretty good stuff. The sort of cross-cutting between, we're skipping a little bit here because once again we will be here for 4 hours if I don't skip ahead a little bit.
Oh, we're close.
But when we get them reading from the Book of the Dead and Rick and Evie examining the body of the thing, and you're going like, oh no, the thing, it shouldn't.
Yep.
I don't know. Yeah. Sometimes when stuff is good,
it's pretty cool.
I know, that's the thing.
The editing is really good. Bob Ducey is a great editor.
Sometimes on this show, as much as we bitch about the terrible movies we have to watch, sometimes the terrible movie, they're often better episodes because it's not just us going, that's really good when that happened. I just like that. I do this because of the modern technology and stuff like that. We get to see Imhotep coming into the ever-growing humanity, right? The sort of the ever getting a new thing. And I do think a scene that actually, call it a kiddie movie if you want, Brendan, but I think is actually pretty creepy is the scene with the guy in the glasses.
Oh yeah, I mean that was strictly like that was Stephen Sommers being like, okay, this is the first bit of like actual horror in this movie.
Imhotep shows up and he's very CG in the very beginning because he's missing all these pieces. He can't speak. He's just he's literally a monster, and he doesn't look like he's occupying the same space as anybody because it's early CG.
It's early CG, but it's once again it holds up a lot better than
John. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
But
I enjoyed it. And then his mission
and
is...
and Sommers really wanted, like, he didn't want it to just look like a guy in a costume. He wanted people to be able to see through this dude.
I really loved the empty part of the cranium. All that was awesome. And the whole thing is that the Copic jars that have all of his organs in them, that's what the Americans have. And so the whole thing is that he's going American to American, essentially, not only getting his organs back, but stealing parts from them that aren't in the jars, like eyes and tongue. And so
just their essence.
And that guy, yes, their life force. But that one poor guy, Burns? Is that his name?
Burns. Oh, Burns.
The thing is that like he isn't portrayed as being such an asshole, but he gets the worst of it because he's the first one. He gets the eyes taken out and the tongue, and you're like, well, they're gonna leave him alone now because that's horrible. And then no, Benny feeds him up. It's like, nope, you're not done yet. Because he's there with the bandages, and he's like, I want you to meet this Egyptian prince, Prince Imhotep. He's like, hey, man, how you doing? Or he's actually, how you doing? And he's like, oh, you're not finished giving stuff to him yet, though he really appreciates your eyes and tongue. And he's like, no!
That guy who plays Burns, by the way, I just love that his real name is Tuke Watkins.
Whoa!
Tuke, T-U-C, Tuke Watkins.
Nice.
And he's in a million things. He's a character actor. He's definitely one of those guys where I've seen him. Yeah.
This is not confirmed, and also like it doesn't super make sense because like Imhotep needed to sacrifice anyway. But my favorite fan theory is that because he took Burns's eyes, when he sees Evie for the first time, he can't see very well, so he like that's why he calls her a Noxuna Moon. I just think that's really funny. Like and Stephen Sommers and like Sommers didn't say anything about it, so like clearly it wasn't like that was just a fan theory. But like I like that fan theory. It's fun.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's kind of fun. I think
also she's the first female of any variety he sees post resurrection. So he's
any
probably
woman
just
is like,
And also, when
you
he sees
remind
her,
me
he's
of
probably just,
my girlfriend.
yeah, I don't think he's like, that's her reincarnated, even though reincarnation is always a huge part of these mummy movies. But he's
It will
probably
be in the
just-
next one. Never mind.
He's
Yeah.
probably just sitting there going like, "Oh, you would be an awesome host."
Yeah.
Because
Yes,
her
no, I mean
body's
that's what I.
gone. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna put.
Yeah,
this
like
pyramid
that's what
in
I
you.
literally
He's-
just said.
He's going.
Oh, is it?
He's going like.
Yeah.
Elliot, you're gonna have to submit some of these responses in advance so that I can absorb them and then properly.
Well, maybe you could just like listen to me when I'm talking. That would be
Oh,
cool.
good lord!
Thinking,
This show heats up when Elliot's on.
Oh, this is good. Good. I was thinking more along the lines of what you were saying about his blurred vision, his bad vision,
Yes.
and that.
And he's
Right.
just-
No, that I mean, but that's what I mean. Is like that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
it's clearly just like a fan theory, and it's
But
just
it's kind
like
of it's kind
just
of a fun one.
it's just funny to think about. But like clearly that's not actually like what was happening.
But it's one of those
Do
fan
they-
theories that's not totally insane. You're like, oh, you could read it that way, and it doesn't fundamentally change the movie.
Do they retroactively in the second one say that she is the reincarnation?
No,
No,
Okay,
no.
reincarnation never does come into
She's
it. Right, okay.
yeah, it's a whole thing. We'll get there when we get
it's
there.
a different thing. Yeah.
it's
I
it's a
saw
different
it,
thing.
but it has
Yeah.
been alone.
No, yeah.
I haven't seen The Mummy Returns as many times as I've seen The Mummy, but it is a number that is in the double digits.
Ooh, I don't know if I've hit double digit, but I have definitely seen it more than I should.
I'm gonna say about 2 or 3.
So yeah, we get the scarabs. Oh, the shot of the scarabs pouring out of the ground when the sand opens up and they go.
Yeah.
I just love any
It's
shots
great.
of the scarabs. They all look cool in the way that they're the sort of beetle-like glistening of them as they're coming around.
Yeah.
This is where 1999 CGI was good at this kind of stuff.
Well, they'd also figured out how to randomize movement pretty
Yes.
well. So that's the thing when you have something that's swarmy, is like when you saw we've seen other terrible movies this season where
Yeah.
CGI is coming in, and when they try to do like a swarm of bats, you're like, oh, it's really only 3 bats, and you can see where they've placed them,
Yes.
and they try to overlay them to disguise it, but you can tell they're moving in the same way. And this thing, you watch that swarm, and it's like, yeah, they've randomized. This guy's going over this guy. And it looks pretty good. And then once they go into somebody, and that's horrifying.
It is
Yeah.
really creepy, and the beginnings of 10-year-old me does not know what a little nerd he'll become for Cronenberg movies, but this is the beginnings of that, which is just the thing in the guy's
the warden
skin.
is the first guy who
Yeah.
really gets it bad
Mhm.
from the scarabs after saying 18 times, I hate bugs. I don't
Yeah.
like bugs.
This is still, it's just, even with the whatever dated CG, when those bugs are in the guy's skin, it's just such an
It's
unsettling.
so visceral.
Yeah, you
It's
can
visceral,
feel it.
especially, and then I
Ugh.
mean, it's like stomach up to his thing and in his neck, and then it's
under
in
his
head.
eye and his head. Ah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, how is he even still screaming? Because
Yeah.
clearly it's probably already chewing at his brain.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like blah, blah, blah. And
Great.
he runs screaming. He had broken off from the rest of the group, and he found these cool jewel scarabs that he's popping off the wall. So
It is
they
one
don't
of
know
those-
what's wrong.
it's
when
one of
he
those
runs out
great-
and then runs into the wall.
It's one of those great monster movie moments where every time he's popping this off, you're like, you're gonna die. This is a
Yeah,
really
you are
bad
so
idea.
dead right now.
You shouldn't do that. Don't touch it, man.
It's just like in Scream. Don't go for the beer.
Yeah,
don't
that's-
go in the
I'll
garage.
be right back.
I'll be right back. It's like, no,
that's-
you're dead, man. You're totally dead.
like I said, that's one of the reasons I love horror movies. Where you're just like, oh, you're fucking dead, man. That guy's right. That guy is dead. So when they all come running out of the tomb, I do love that Ardith Bay and the Magi are out there, and he's just like, you unleashed the mummy.
You guys
didn't
have fucked up so
Yeah,
bad.
I
you
know.
have
Yeah.
endangered the entire world,
Yeah.
man.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I love Oded Fair chiding them. I get it just like that's first class. We work for centuries on this stuff, and you dumbasses
Yeah,
come in
it's
here.
just so like
But then
so.
I think have Rick doing the bite back of going like, well, you didn't do such a good job, did you?
Hey, I just want
3,000 years.
I just want
they're
Ardith.
both screwed up.
I just want Ardith Bay to like snap and go, "Hey, motherfucker!"
Like it's so his anger is so controlled, and you're just like, oh, I want to see him lose it so bad.
Yeah.
I every time I watch this, I go, why didn't Oded Fair become a bigger like action? I mean, he's done stuff. He's still working. I mean,
It's true.
there's always just the capital R racism, obviously.
Like, you know why.
Yeah, I do. But it is like, I watched this movie, and of course, Brendan Fraser already is a movie star, but he feels like he should be the Han Solo of this in terms of like the breakout where you go like, oh, that guy could.
Well, someone should have created something for him.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Instead of
seems
trying
like
to fit him into something else, they should have said, let's capture what he clearly has.
yeah.
And
I
let
can't-
us
but I mean,
build
see-
something for him because
Yeah.
he does have it.
Like,
He's got it.
like we could have had, like, it could have been like an early 2000s John Wick thing.
Yeah.
Like, make something for for Oded Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
Embrace his ethnicity, make that part of the character, make
Totally.
that part of the thing that we haven't seen before, and therefore we're excited
Oh,
because
yeah.
ooh, a character. we
well,
haven't seen
and like, right, the unfortunate, and I wasn't gonna say this because even after I took the note, I was like, this isn't necessary. But I mean, 9/11.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
I will say the big thing he does after this is a show called Sleeper Cell where he plays a terrorist bad guy.
Yeah, I remember.
Which is
Sleeper
just
Cell. I
remember
didn't
Sleeper
watch it.
Cell. But Brendan, he was the voice of Dr. Fate on the Justice League animated series, so
Yes.
That's
You didn't
pretty-
need to tell me that.
that's pretty fucking awesome. And he's also Ra's al Ghul on Young Justice. So I mean,
Oh,
the guy
yes.
works because he's fantastic. I mean, it's not like he's gone away,
Yeah.
but it is always like, man, this guy is just has
Missed
such star
opportunity
presence.
to
in
cash in on a
Yeah,
very
I
magnetic, handsome,
loved him.
badass
Yeah.
mother
I mean,
action.
Of course, the iconic thing when Rick O'Connell lights the match off of his stubble. God, that's cool. That's just cool.
Fucking good.
That is just, oh my god. You know, there are in doing some research, they did do a comics miniseries about these characters that I'm kind of intrigued to read. I don't know what publisher it was. I don't think it ever, but I'm going like, I want to read some of that. And there was a Saturday morning cartoon show which I never watched.
Yes, it wasn't very good. I watched.
It's
some
more
Of it.
tied into the second movie because it's all about the kid,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So Benny also becomes the Renfield to the Mummy here, which
Yeah.
totally adds up.
Yeah, like we mentioned that scene that happens later with Burns.
Yeah.
Because at that point, Benny is operating as Renfield. It's like, what else do you need, Master? The scene where he makes a deal in a way with the Mummy, also cleverly written,
Mhm.
where the Mummy comes for him because he's just fresh meat. He can get
Yeah.
some life force out of him, but then he's
Honey.
trying in his own way to fend him off in horror movie ways. It's like first the cross, and he does like a
It's
Lord,
great.
Lord, please watch over your flock.
yes. And then
Okay. Buddhism? No.
Yeah.
Islam? No. Okay, shit. What else do I have?
he has on a chain all these holy
Which is
holy
also
symbols,
just
and
such a
it's
great beat for his character. This is a guy who is such a coward, such a non-believer, such a all about himself that he's like, oh, I'll just believe in anything that's going to get me to.
He
So
pulls
Yeah.
up the Star of David and
I love
starts
this.
reciting a Hebrew prayer, which then, and this is clever writing, where
Very clever.
that sounds familiar to Imhotep. He goes, that's the language of the slaves, which you're like, oh, ancient Egypt. Oh, that's great. He goes,
Mhm.
that might come in handy,
Yeah.
that you can speak Hebrew.
maybe
So
you're
I'm
my
gonna keep you
guy.
around.
Yeah, you could be useful.
You could be
I did
useful,
just scroll
so-
through Kevin J. O'Connor's IMDb. He has never played Renfield, but I'm shocked. He does, of course,
That'd be pretty
play.
good.
been a great-
Would've been
Igor.
really good.
Of course, we'll get him as Igor
Yes.
in Van Helsing. But I love that excitement already, Elliot. So let's see. So everybody rides off. We're out of there now. You do get the mummy hand coming out of the ground as they ride off. Great.
Yeah.
So now we're going back to. Do we
We're
go
at the
back?
fort at
Yes.
Cairo.
Yes. And Rick is just like, we got to get out of here. We got to get as far away from the city as possible. And Evie's like, well, maybe not.
Oh, very good impression, by the way.
I know. It's almost like Rachel Weisz was here.
Maybe. Okay, maybe.
But yeah, you get in this whole kind of argument about that. This is
when the Burns thing happens, and
Yes.
they're all in the hotel bar, the Americans and Jonathan and Rick, and this is where we get the introduction of Winston Havelock.
yes,
I
Bernard
love
Fox,
this guy.
man.
Bernard Fox has been in so much. This wasn't the last thing he did, but this is one of the last things he did.
Yeah,
this
is the last film he appeared in.
Yeah.
And he had just done, speaking of DiCaprio, the movie he did before this, Titanic.
Yep.
I mean, they're just one of those guys, man. One of those guys in a billion things. And he is here to play. He is having so much fun as this drunken aviator.
It's a character that seemingly is written for him.
Yeah.
You can't imagine really. I mean, speaking of a similar character actor, had he been around, this would have been also a Terry Thomas role.
Sure.
Where it's like we need kind of the stereotypical, oh yes, colonial British guy who you would be offended
back
by
in the day, and he's got a whole thing about back when we had real men.
I just wish I could have chucked it in and gone down with the others instead of something here in boredom and booze. And I like Rick mouthing it along with him.
Yeah,
like he's heard this a jillion times.
And I like the repeated site. I mean, this is where silliness I'm on board with, because that's what I want from Bernard Fox. The whole thing is him constantly stepping in the water fountain.
Yeah,
like
some idiot spilled his drink.
And then he walks back the same way and does it this next time too. I'm like, God, that's just great.
It's very funny.
And his, he gets a heroic death too. He's great. I love it.
So we get that. We get I do like the creepy mask that Imhotep is wearing here when he.
This is good.
Man, I remember this in the trailer.
His
going
face
like,
is fully constructed underneath this, so he's wearing like this black ceramic mask. It's really creepy.
And then when he takes it off, and the scarab is just running around his face.
Oof. Oh, and then after he absorbs that life force, and he's almost Arnold Vosloo, but they're doing the thing of like, well, you can still see into his cheek, and then the scarab runs out and he does the he's eating his own scarabs, man.
Oh man.
He's dipping into his own supply.
Vosloo's,
and I'm not sure I'm
once
on
again
board.
Vosloo's ability to play, you just think about how technically hard this is to deal with all this makeup, CGI, like everything he's doing is augmented by something. And he makes it feel so real. Like, it really is.
It was so convincing that I saw him on a talk show, and he actually did open his mouth, like, for about 3 feet. I was like, wow.
And, of course, Summers brings him back in G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra as Zartan, which is pretty
great cast.
Master of Disguise. Arnold Vosloo makes a lot of sense. And also, I do agree with the guys over on Blank Check that Brendan Fraser might be the best actor against things that aren't there of anyone ever.
He's definitely in the running, and this is certainly early days. There's a couple of parts in this movie. He is better than some of his co-stars. There are plenty of scenes, especially there's a couple of John Hannah scenes where I'm like, you're not quite looking at. Sure. You're kind of down here. There are the eyes up there. Oh, it's okay.
But he's already done George of the Jungle at this point, too.
Quick.
He's already done George of the Jungle at this point. He'll go on to do Looney Tunes. He'll do 2 more of these. The nightmare that is Monkey Bone.
Yeah.
Dr. Doolittle? Not Dr. Doolittle. What am I talking about? Dudley Do-Right. Sorry.
Dudley Do-Right.
Oh, I forgot about Dudley Do-Right.
It's so crazy that he did George of the Jungle.
I never saw Inkheart, but he's probably good in it.
I'm sure he's
not
always
a good movie.
Yeah, he's always good. He's even kind of good in Monkey Bone, as good as you can be in anything. My
brother came down really strong on the side of Looney Tunes back in action.
He did. I heard that.
That surprised me. I had no idea Robin was such a fan of Looney Tunes back in action.
I'll go with Robin on this.
It is better than Space Jam if you're a fan of the Looney Tunes characters. It is.
Okay.
I don't know how I feel about that. I will say I have a soft spot for Looney Tunes back in action, but I don't know how I feel about that take.
Once again, that might be a generational thing. Space Jam was another that thing hit culture in a way as a kid that was.
Well, it's just because
everything.
You believe you can fly.
I can though.
I do.
Yeah. Don't take that from us.
Come on and slam.
Yeah.
And welcome to the jam.
Welcome to the jam. What is a space jam?
Welcome to the Space Jam.
Yeah, that's just going through our heads all the time.
Take your chance, do your dance at the Space Jam. I have that on VHS still too.
Oh, as you. By the way, that's the only way to watch that movie. I might.
It's
argue.
true. I think that that VHS might be the only way to watch this one too, because I mean, I've seen my DVD copy a lot of times, but it's always very stark to me how not bad, but how evident the day for night shots are on a quote unquote higher quality, like
I watched this on 4K yesterday, so yes,
I did high def, not ultra high def. They were all the same price.
Yeah.
But which was weird. But I was like, ultra high def on my TV is not gonna give me anything. So
yeah.
It looked great. I mean, again, I accept this movie's visual flaws because considering other stuff that was from that time period, this looks great.
And that's the thing is
so
like
much,
again, like the day for night shots aren't bad. It's just very clear in the year 2023 that they are day for night shots I think in 1999 it maybe was not.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about this is especially because some of the stuff you could put on a lot of stuff from this era and just be like, oh God. I mean, I will say even watching Deep Rising, which is just a couple years before this, that there's some embarrassing CGI in that this thing never comes close to getting to that.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's talk about how the cowboy guy gets it when he's practicing his pistol twirling.
Yeah. That actor Stephen Sommers was like, he actually practiced that. He was practicing that like the whole time. He was so excited to do it.
That's like one shot. I love it.
One shot. And like the Stephen Sommers says this, but like it does look good. The whole cast was like super great, super sweet. Like you love to hear it where like he's like, you know, I'm very close with my like behind the scenes folks, and so I always hear if someone's being shitty, and everybody was just so great and so nice and so like helpful, and that's always great to hear.
That makes sense because I mean this is especially this cast. I've never heard ill will about any of them, and we certainly do hear ill will about a lot of people these days.
Yeah,
rightfully so. But like, yeah, I mean, you have particularly like once again, everybody fucking loves Brendan Fraser. So, but yeah,
I don't want anything to ever come out.
No,
I don't. I'm praying that nothing bad ever comes out. I'm just paranoid.
Well, I mean, that's
because
the thing is just
the thing that, of course, the thing that came out about him was quite the opposite, though. Of course, he was a victim himself of sexual harassment and assault.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is, I mean, it's once again, I highly recommend that Maron interview. He talks a lot about the idea that people are just like, but you're like a big fucking tough guy. Why didn't you punch a dude in the face if he tried to touch you? It's like, yeah, I'm not really that guy.
It's just not that simple.
Yeah, and I don't want to hit anyone. So we get this guy though. Oh, he gets it bad.
But he gets it bad in like a silhouette form.
Yes, he gets it. He does that. He does that very PG-13 thing that I think is also a smart PG-13 thing, where if we do horrible gore in silhouette, it's fine. It's totally fine.
He literally gets desiccated and broken, twisted in midair, and it's well done shadow stuff. And then the leftover, when the body just drops, it's a good practical looking. It's like, oh God damn it. So he leaves husks behind, and he's very nearly full Vosloo.
This is where he's Vosloo with just the couple spots that you were talking about.
Yeah,
the spots.
So
has he made out with Sleeping Evie yet? Because
this is where that's happening.
Yeah.
Not creepy at all. Not creepy.
Because
that's where he goes next.
Rick and Jonathan have left the fort to go find the Egyptologist guy, and that's where they confront Benny. They find him in the looking for the book, right?
Yes.
And that's when Rick throws him around, and this is why I wrote the Kevin J. O'Connor is a poor little meow meow, because Stephen Sommers is like, I felt so bad because I've had Kevin J. O'Connor in a previous movie, Deep Rising, and he bruises so easily, and I've just had people kick the shit out of him, and I hired a masseuse so that he would come back to work after this shooting.
I gotta say, I'm really charmed by Stephen Sommers based on your recounting of the commentary. I like this guy. So
this cracks me up, but I will say he is as Kevin is, when you see him in anything, even if it's not one of these things, it is something about his physicality. He is a little tiny twig man.
He's just a little guy.
He's just a little guy, and he does play reedy and weak and weaselly so well.
The fellas over at We Hate Movies, one of my favorite podcasts, have long been pitching a Kevin J. O'Connor, Tom Noonan as brothers movie.
Yes,
and they
actually, that would be
they go like, can they be like creepy funeral home directors or something, or grave diggers, or just the like wiry, creepy, weird guys in a movie.
And I've always loved O'Connor's voice because it has this natural a little bit of a shake and crack to it.
The thing about Deep Rising, he tested so well, they reshot the ending so his character survived. Because people liked his character
for the eventual sequel.
Well, does anyone recall that Deep Rising does set up a sequel in its last
Does
season?
it? I was making a joke.
No, it totally does. They get on it.
Rising?
Here's a Deep Rising thing, but
Deep Rising higher.
Oh no, Land Rising would have been what it was. They get on an island after they get off the boat, and they go, "Whoo, we made it!" And then you hear a roaring in the forest, and Treat Williams goes, "Oh, what now?" And it goes,
"Oh, great!"
But what you mean is it wasn't actually made.
They set up a sequel. But the plan was it would have been called Land Rising, I believe.
Jesus,
wow!
All right, so let's talk about the army of zombie followers that are just going around chanting "Imhotep."
What not a lot of people know is that was my role in the film. They digitally multiplied me.
It's all Brendan Jones.
Yeah,
we have talked about this.
You were mustaches and beards.
You were at Warner Brothers, but this would have been around the time you could have maybe been an extra in a movie, right?
No, because this came out in '99,
right.
And I started working there in '99.
Yeah.
So they already would have.
We have talked before about
on the lot.
We have talked about your extra work in Spider-Man.
Yes, but that had nothing to do with my Warner Brothers work.
No. Oh, that's right. It was just around Hollywood.
They did shoot the upside down rain scene.
I think that's why I conflated that. They did shoot some of it at Warner Brothers.
And I watched them film it. That was cool, but I wasn't in the scene. That's very cool. And the scene where Spider-Man fights like 3 guys in the middle of the street and strings some up. That was also on the Warner Brothers lot, and I also just stayed after work to watch them shoot that. But my extra stuff for Spider-Man was just due to my nerdery, finding out, they need extras for the wrestling scene. Yeah. So I'm an extra in the wrestling scene.
Yeah.
And that was on my day off. I want to spend 8 hours going, Bonesaw McGraw! And I did.
So we get this. You get some good.
I mean, I would do that for free.
I did. All we got was we got a box of lunch.
There you go.
Nice.
Hey, that works for me. But is Spider-Man here? That's all that matters. I know. But
that was I get to be an extra in a wrestling show.
I was gonna say for me it's Spider-Man. For Elliott it's wrestling.
Yeah.
Macho Man Randy Savage literally saying the line "Bonesaw is ready" for about an hour and a half.
That delivery is
incredible.
Back over going, maybe if you could do Bonesaw is ready.
I just love the idea of Raimi going, could you be more ready?
I couldn't hear. I mean, obviously I'm up in the stands. Couldn't hear what Raimi's saying to him. But
trying to imagine Raimi directing that at all is funny.
But what I found was interesting is that sorry, we're very off topic. But when they were doing that scene, they do have them mic'd so that the extras are reacting to what they're saying. So we don't hear what the director tells them, but when they're talking, including when Bruce Campbell comes out as the MC, and when Peter Parker comes in, he's like, "Hey, buddy, okay, let's go a little easy," and all that. We heard it perfectly fine. It was like,
that's awesome,
bouncing around the place. But then the little dude in the black suit and the black tie, Sam Raimi, would come up and do stuff. We have no idea what he's saying.
Like I said, how do you direct other than just go, just do what you always do when you're in the wrestling ring? I don't know.
That's what I found so hilarious. It's like, I'm not exactly sure what we're getting different from one Bonesaw is ready to another, but
can you give me?
Still, I am looking at Macho Man Randy Savage yelling at a little Tobey Maguire, and that's all I need.
That's great.
And this box lunch.
So anyway, we get some good John Hannah pretending to be a zombie here. Very funny.
That's good. Where he just joins the group.
As I say here, of course, Benny narcs them out to the mummy here, bastard. You get a full-on Dracula move from Imhotep here when he's up in that building and he does the full thing with his cloak or whatever the robe.
I will say there are a couple of really sweet iconic whether or not the CG's totally there, but a couple of I've become, like a swarm of beetles, or I've become the sand, and then I coalesce back into my cloak is flapping around and it's still kind of sand while I'm solid. I'm like,
the thing I think that because we've watched so many of these,
because we've seen so many bad
mummy movies, part of me is also just like, even if the CG's not there, I just love that they're trying stuff with mummy powers. We're so used to boring mummies who just kind of stalk around. I'm just going like this. They're thinking, what could a mummy's abilities be?
Well, I don't need them to be godlike. I mean, I don't mind this.
Well, that's where you and I disagree, because I need a godlike mummy in my life.
I think it really can just be a story about reincarnation and finding a lost love, and
that's a fine
your
way
body
too.
is gone and you're in. It is creepy. Just a mummy walking around is fucking creepy. I don't need them to go my army of jackals. Eat them, my army of no. It's fine if
that.
It's just
okay, admittedly, that wasn't the mummies. That was the Scorpion Kings. So.
Oh no, I didn't know the Scorpion King had an army of.
Jackals. Well, we'll talk about that when we get to that next.
That
movie.
was me speculating on stuff you could do with a mummy.
Well, you were right, and Stephen Sommers also speculating came to that conclusion. So
but of course,
I think that it was the right choice, actually. Then,
great mind.
And of course, a guy named the Scorpion King. It makes a lot of sense. He would have jackals as his.
Yeah.
All right. So So I do like when at a certain point Rick O'Connell's just running these people down.
Well, that's pretty brutal actually, because they don't deserve it.
No, they are being mind controlled, but also like,
he's like Evie's like, no, there's people in front of us, and he's like just slams the gas. Like,
well, because it's like, what are you gonna do? It's like, is it better for us to die and let the mummy take over the world?
Oh, John.
Look, I am the bloodthirsty one on this podcast,
always.
Like, so run them down.
The innocent. It's still. I mean, it's effective. It's another thing of like, every scene they try to find somewhere adrenaline's going to pick up, and so that's another we're trapped moment. Oh no, we're not. Drive through them.
And then this is where Imhotep is like, hey, if you come with me, Evie, I'll let all your friends live, and it'll be of course, what by the way, what is the next step? So if he gets his lady back, what's the next step for Imhotep?
Well, they actually say
world domination.
Yeah. Well, obviously.
No, they actually say it's like once she's back in, it's like there's these steps to the process, and once he's fully ascended, because he's still like not quite there.
That's what.
Well, he gets there before taking Evie, because he takes down Daniels, the last dude,
right?
Because he falls off the car,
right?
But there's the whole thing about
there's one extra step that
the thing is she gives herself up, going, he still has to perform the ceremony, meaning you'll still have time to save me. I think that's what you're thinking about. It's not that he'll become more powerful, but it's just the thing he wants is still one more step away.
Right, and she's aware that we really just need to get the book of Amun-Ra, which has the it's the
book
killing spell.
It's
it
essentially
turns
the
him
book
mortal.
of
That's
life,
how
sort of.
it ends. Yeah, so she's buying him time, but the whole thing is like the whole plan is once that he has all this godlike powers, and then he'd have his love, it'd be like, great, now I'm the ruler of everything.
Well, because that's the thing we talked about in the original Karloff movie.
And I'm immortal.
The thing we talked about in the Karloff movie that as much as I enjoy that movie, lessens the stakes is he just wants his girlfriend back, and then that's it. And it's just like, well, I mean, that kind of sucks. He has to kill that lady, but that doesn't affect me if that happens. Like there's no next step.
I mean, that is a difference.
Like that,
I think.
Yeah, that should be stopped. Agreed. That's bad.
Better or worse.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's. I would say that. I mean, because Benny as much says it, like he just wants his girlfriend back from the dead, and like it's. I mean, it does make it kind of tragic. I don't know how much of this was intended and how much of it was just kind of the natural result of kind of pulling this story from the original Mummy plot, essentially, of like, oh, I want to bring my girlfriend back. But like, it kind of makes the I have all this godlike power stuff a little more tragic. It's like, I'm willing to burn the earth. And I mean, clearly from the beginning, I was ready to like fuck shit up to get my my girlfriend back or get my girlfriend away from the Pharaoh. It's like I will salt the earth for this woman, which I will say is my biggest issue with the sequel. That they really do an Noxuna.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They do a what?
But they do a Noxuna Moon real dirty in the second one.
They really,
and I'm not really a fan.
really do.
Again, all I remember is that sword fight. So it'll be some time before.
I have a lot of
I haven't seen it like in years and years and years.
But
what I will say is that I think it's indicative of the effects get bigger, audience expectation also gets bigger.
Yes.
I think that there are things like, John, I know you really liked the Blumhouse Invisible Man.
Loved it.
Now, the thing is, an Invisible Man story is also very contained. He can be crazy and say, I want to take over the world, but it really is just about usually some personal relationship, and maybe he gets up to some chaos.
Well, and
that's the
thing. The thing is, you need to really care about the people involved in it. And I think that's actually one of the big things I was going to say in comparison to the Universal movies, the original classics, that this movie really does is one of our big problems in those is they never made the heroes particularly interesting in those. For the most part, true. I mean, we love Edward Van Sloan as Van Helsing, but they also ditch him pretty quick after that first Dracula. Although Dracula's daughter is a wild ride.
He shows up in Dracula's daughter, and then he is essentially also Van Helsing in the.
But like most of those guys, as we refer to them on the show, are Freddies, are just sort of these like besuited guys going, oh dear, this monster wants my girlfriend.
But I think this particular story, if he had not had godlike powers, still would have been really great. I think it was just the inclination of, we can do this, so why don't we?
Well, because it's cool
I'm not
as hell.
anti-Imhotep being able to do all that, but at the same time, I think a mummy story doesn't need to have.
I don't think it needs to have that, but I think it can have that, and I would.
And it's bitching, so.
It's bitching.
To go back to the idea, it's pretty bitching.
Well, let's get to now. We're going out to the. I do love Brendan Fraser going, I'll be seeing you with the torch, badass man. Yeah. That's what I want. And then when we go out to the desert now with our pilot friend, and we're gonna get our big this was the big trailer moment, right? The sand face. This is where I was sitting in a theater seeing a trailer going, I gotta see this thing, man. This is wild.
Indeed. It's a big face in the sand.
It sure is. Chomp, chomp.
Basically, Imhotep knows they're coming for him in the plane, and he goes, you know what? I can control the entire desert. So look, I'm doing this with my face. And the desert's doing the same face. And then I'm going to eat it. I'm going to eat that plane in midair.
This is a movie where
num the movie for me is when he noms the plane.
Yeah.
Nom. And Evie
somehow it doesn't affect them other than we're upside down. I love the fact that Jonathan and
Ardeth?
What's his name? Yeah, Ardeth. Sorry. Are literally they're strapped to the wings because it's only a 2-seater plane.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's so great. They're just like going, oh my god, and they flipped upside down, and they're like, we'll never make
Jonathan
it out.
is freaking out. Ardeth Bay is just being a stoic badass.
Yes, and again, Rachel Weisz, along with Brendan Fraser, they are so locked into the tone of this. Her expressions, like just these are cutaways where she's like, oh my god, she's
watching nothing.
and she's like, oh my god, that's it. And when the plane does work its way out right before it crashes, the look on her face where she just goes, O'Connell. It's just like,
this is the stuff I'm talking about.
The love. It's like she loves that man.
This is always my point when critics and awards and stuff write off like, oh, whatever, the CG thing. No, it's a totally different kind of like skill and challenge, and people have done it terribly. They are both so good.
And if you don't sell it, the audience knows. I mean, you can approximate it, but it'll still seem flat. It'll seem fake.
Right.
And you believe that she's Evie, and you believe that Evie is genuinely worried that that guy just died. And now she's ecstatic that he's alive.
Fraser
and then he crashes, and then she's back to going, oh no.
It's so good. And Brendan Fraser is shooting at a sand face with an old-timey machine gun on the back of a plane.
I could John, I and again, no insult, because I'm the same way with films from my youth.
Sure.
sheer love of this.
Oh,
Every
it's the
second
best.
of it.
It's the best.
It is the love of a child for it, which is
Sure.
not a bad thing.
No,
It
no,
is
no.
so deep in your bones.
No, I totally
You-
recognize that like
Your review of this movie is, isn't that awesome?
yeah, man.
Yeah, I seconded.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And
This movie whips ass.
That's the thing. Whatever quibbles I even give you, like it goes back to Ellie's point, but it's bitchin'. So
It's bitchin'.
which is why I know that Empire is a better film than original Star Wars Episode 4, but I saw Star Wars when it first came out, and I was 10. No, I was 9. It's my favorite. The very first Star Wars is
also
and
how I
know
kind
it's
of
fault,
yeah.
but me, I can quote it end to end. When I watch it, all I can say is that is awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's my entire review.
It's my
awesome.
the Michael Keaton Batman thing as well, where people can go just like, I don't care, man. 89 rules. That's Batman.
I think the younger you see something, intellectual and rational thought goes away, and it's just about that became part of my DNA.
Yeah.
And yes, I could write a scholarly treatise about, oh, this was a misfire thematically, and I can talk all about, I hate the comedy, most of the comedy in Superman the movie, but that movie to me is one of the greatest films of all time because of when I saw it. It's an emotional thing.
I know that's the other thing too, and I think what we're
Rick
getting
O'Connell is your guy. He's your guy.
I love Rick O'Connell, and that's why I wish there were 5 more great movies about him, and instead there are 2. Yeah. One of which is okay.
There's one middlingly good one and one very bad
one. Well,
one.
aren't they talking about a new sequel that will have him and Evie and probably their kids and
loose
rumblings? It's from what I've seen, it's more like people being like, "Hey, would you like to be another movie with Rachel Weisz?" and Brendan going like, "Yeah, sure," but I don't think there's anything more to it than that.
And I'm sure Universal has thought, especially with once again. Fraser just winning the Oscar.
The Renaissance.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And Rachel Weisz never went away. And
I'm sure somebody at Universal is going.
In Black Widow,
she's great. She's so fucking awesome.
And so fucking funny.
She's great. She's great, and she's married to James Bond, so even cooler.
I know.
That couple is it's unfair how charming and attractive they are.
Bummer.
Makes no damn sense. Compels me though.
Yeah, who would have guessed that guy's fucking hilarious too?
I love Daniel Craig. Have you seen that? I think it's a vodka or gin commercial that he's in. Oh, it's so fucking funny.
It's so good, man. I love that his post James Bond career now is just I'm gonna be goofy. That's my thing now.
Again, the scene in Glass Onion where he's just tiptoeing through that garden thing with the smoking alarm coming out, and I'm like going, I love the fact that this character you've embraced so much that is the anti-Bond thing to do, is like sort of daintily traits.
I love that,
and I loved Daniel Craig daintily traits.
Everybody who works on those movies talks about, they're like, no, the biggest surprise is that's what he's like. He's a goof. He likes to be a goof most of the time.
Which just makes him that much more incredible an actor.
I know.
For years, people were like, wow, this guy is really like must be a hard ass. It's like, no,
he has the face of a boxer.
He's an actor.
He looks like he's been punched in the face for 15 years straight. So the face does a lot of it. But at the same time, he is a very good actor. And when are they going to do their definitive couple movie?
Oh, I would love that. We need that in our lives. All right. So the plane does crash. We lose our pilot guy.
We're in the end. We're sliding into home.
We're getting into the final confrontation with Ardeth Bay and Rick O'Connell and Jonathan when they go in after the mummy.
It's a great trio, I gotta say, because you got all of them. You've got the cocky American, you've got the wacky quasi-drunken Brit, and you've got just the stoic badass guy who probably has a rifle, a gun, and a scimitar.
I will say
that's all I want all day long.
It's one of the few things I will say when we get to the next movie that is more Ardeth Bay like sword play that I do enjoy.
Yes.
So much
he has
more,
a lot more to do, and it's very good.
That's one of the few really good points of returns. So they go in here. I also like that Jonathan is, while being goofy, is like, no, I want to get my sister back. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, he's not just... He
never plays that part for anything other than concern and love.
But, like,
and that's...
we've seen... I've seen a million versions of this character going horribly wrong, obviously, in other action stuff. The goofy sidekick is like, oh Jesus, so much of the time. So yeah, we get in here. Jonathan gets a scarab, goes in him, and Rick O'Connell just cuts it out of him, and it's awesome.
I know.
And the way he just flicks it away, he gets it out and goes, phew,
and then shoots it.
Then
he doesn't even step on it. He shoots it. He fucking shoots a bug. I love it.
And now we're also getting into it's this like, oh, what could make this movie better? What if there were a lot of mummies that he could fight?
What if there were a ton of mummies?
And again, that was set up. That could have, in a cheaper, stupider movie, it would have just been like, and here are my mummy hordes. Where did they come from? No, we know they're the priests.
They were mummified at the beginning of the fucking movie.
So here they come.
Boom.
Listen to other mummy movies. Mummy. This isn't that hard, you guys. Like, it's really once again, it's not. That's what you're talking about, Brandon. It's like this movie's not reinventing the wheel. It's just going good storytelling, just good general beat to beat storytelling. People always are like, why are you on about this? Like, because doing this show and doing the Action Shelf, it apparently does really baffle people how to do that.
Yeah,
I can't believe it, man. It does seem hard. But so yeah, this is where we get all the awesome fight, and we're throwing dynamite. We're shooting at mummies. This is also I did see Summers in one of the quotes I saw here bring up Jason and the Argonauts as a big influence, and certainly this sword fight with the mummies.
Oh yeah,
very
this whole
much.
Thing is a Ray Harryhausen tribute.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's awesome. And you get when he knocks the mummy that comes right out of the eye. This is before 3D, but man, that's cool. Brendan Fraser's got a golden sword.
Yeah.
I mean, that is sort of like, as we wrap up the end of the movie, a lot of my notes now at the end are just like, it's awesome. And he does another cool thing.
And it was awesome.
And he kicks a guy and he flips over a thing. And yes,
he hits a head like it's a fucking baseball. It rules.
It's so good.
Yeah,
man.
America, give me a hot dog.
Give me that hot dog.
Oh God, I didn't bring a hot dog.
So yeah, they you get the match strike, which we talked about, that leads to the dynamite toss, and all this time, all this chaos is going on, and Imhotep is just like, I just got to get through this ceremony real quick.
Trying to finish the ceremony. And here's another thing I really like. This, I mean, I'm not meaning to dump on Summers. This movie works, and I really enjoy it. And another smart thing is the way this thing starts to roll in Act 3. It is all kinetic. Editing, of course, total credit as well.
Oh, amazing.
But the idea of there's still an intellectual puzzle in the action.
Yes.
So Jonathan is trying to save his sister, and he's shooting, and he's doing this thing and that thing, but he does now have the Book of Amun-Ra, which is the golden book. We missed where it showed up, but don't worry, we have it. And he's reading the spell off the front of it because he doesn't have the key to open it, but the spell on the front of it eventually. And Evie, who is also trying to defend herself, and there's Imhotep trying to get her, she is shouting to Jonathan while in the midst of battle, like, read the spell, it'll give you the control over those mummies. And then he does successfully, even though he's like trying to remember how to pronounce things because he's not the student she is. Then he gets there, he's able to control some mummies. This is while action is going on. Then he does get the key, because does open it. And it's still a thing of like, I've got almost everything, but I don't know what this last symbol is. And she's like, describe it. I just love calling back and forth while there's action. Yeah. And she's having to go, it's this word.
Well, and that's the stuff that keeps her from being the damsel in distress.
Exactly.
Right?
She is being very physical, fighting for her life, and she is still solving the puzzle.
Once again, she's not all of a sudden a weapons expert. She is strong and brave, but it's all about, I'm going to keep my cool so I can use my intelligence to get myself out. It's just really, really good stuff.
Anoxunamun has the knot, because at this point, Anoxunamun is technically alive, but she's still mummified because she doesn't have the essences and shit. So she's strangling Evie and trying to stab her, and Evie's like, it's this one.
Yeah, it's the word. That is another thing I've often mentioned, which is, not that I mind, and it certainly makes sense plot-wise, but whenever you get towards the end and they want to have the woman character who's often love interesty, also fighting. They'll team her or they'll pair her off against a female villain.
Well,
and
we'll talk about that in the next movie, won't we?
It is always a thing where it's like, well,
Yeah.
why can't she be knocking
Well,
a couple of guys around?
or the reverse of why
isn't Anoximon going after Rick instead?
it also it drives me insane too, where it does feel like all the James Bond movies are like, and I've brought a date to the final battle so she can fight your female henchman while we
it's
duke
just
it
like
out.
in G.I. Joe, where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, there's the Baroness. Well, she'll have to fight Scarlet or Lady J.
Right.
It's like, why not Duke? Come on, people.
Because there's still
But
something
anyway.
about that. I feel like they would go like, oh man, if Duke punched the
that
Baroness,
is hitting a
oh
woman.
my god, I can't even
But
comprehend.
anyway,
Jesus.
this all works, and the
I love
spell-
sexism.
Oh, isn't it the best? It's just the best.
Good.
This all works. I'm talking about this movie. I'm not talking about that trope. That's a bad trope. I
That
don't
is a
like
bad
that.
trope. This movie is avoiding that trope. Also, like when
doing-
Rick
But
loses his sword and the hand crawls to it, and then he grabs the sword with the hand, cuts the mummy's legs out, and that stone squashes that mummy. Oh, that's what I need in my life.
It's Looney
Pretty
Tunes
cool.
action. But anyway, there's a lot of but
Why didn't they go to
still,
Summers to do that Looney Tunes? Actually, he might have done an
He
okay
probably
job.
was like going, well, let's see. Do they? Yeah, they've got the library of those sound effects. Actually, Universal wouldn't have. But anyway,
Yeah.
so this is all kick-ass, but the
Oh, yeah.
spell is spoken, and oh no, we see Anoximon Cinnamon drop, and we also see this crazy shit, which I really like because it's Egyptian mythology. We see the Chariot of the Dead take
Yeah.
Imhotep's Ka, his soul
Yeah,
away,
man.
which has made him mortal, which he doesn't quite know himself. I mean, he is reacting to it like, oh, my soul, but he's still acting badass, and he's got the bare chest, and he walks up to Rick, and Rick just stabs him, and he's like, what the fuck? And Evie goes like, yeah,
You just stabbed me? What the bro?
Yeah.
Well,
and
I
she
love
goes,
that idea.
He's mortal now.
Well, I like
And
that
he's
because
like,
he goes, I
"Oh."
thought this was supposed to stop him, and then he guts him, and she goes, yeah, he's mortal.
And then
It's just like,
if you
oh
stab him,
shit.
something will happen.
And it
Imhotep
just
goes out like a little bitch because then he backs into the soul pool
boy.
and gets dragged down by spirits,
Spirits, man.
and his body turns back into mummy, growls, disappears.
And
They
then
won.
they won, but because it's the third act of an action movie, this whole place has to start collapsing.
And
Get-
so Benny,
Oh, that
good old Benny, who has backed away from this fight early, before it even starts to go get his reward.
yeah.
He goes back. He gets greedy. He goes back for more, and then he gets tired, and he
Goes
Put
out like
some
every Indiana
on
Jones
the
villain.
self-destruct button.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my
Yep.
God, Benny, that
The,
Benny.
the ceilings are lowering, the walls are closing, and the smart
Everything's falling
heroes,
apart.
everything's falling apart. The smart heroes are like, we just got to move and get out of here. Except for, of course, Jonathan's like, oh, come on, look at all that. And he's
It's
like,
just like, yeah.
But
and he's like,
Jonathan-
no,
Jonathan-
dude, living is more important. Come on.
That's it. And Jonathan knows that. It's the thing where it's like he may have the greed, but it's not all consuming. It's not, his core character flaw.
The magic book is dropped into the
Yeah, that's
and it's
a,
like,
a fun
"Oh!"
visual rhyme between her and Jonathan.
And so everybody clears out. Benny, of course, you get this great thing where I love this whole thing where it's like you think he's gonna get squashed under the door, but he's like, oh no, oh wait, no, I'm trapped. And then now come the scarabs.
It's this
Because you're
is
waiting
also
for
not-
Benny to get what's coming. You love Benny,
Yeah.
but you also want him to get his comeuppance.
But
and it's basically been foreshadowed.
Yeah.
Rick says you're gonna get yours. Evie
Yeah.
says nasty little things like you always get their comeuppance.
And
Yeah.
like I said, he's every Indiana Jones bad guy who will be done in by his own
But
avarice.
the thing I like, just like with Indy,
Yeah.
is, and it's not a major character writing thing, but Rick tries to help.
Rick
him.
tries to
Yep.
save him. Yeah.
Yeah, Rick's like,
Yeah,
just come here.
Come on,
He's
Benny,
got his
come
hand
on.
out, come here. It's like, just leave that stuff
No,
behind. Come on.
because these guys, you talk about another one that I can recognize. Raiders probably is the better movie, but Last Crusade is my Indiana Jones movie. And talk about the whole thing there with the just let the Grail go, right? It's that same thing, and but it because it has to be their own doing.
Yeah.
Our heroes are still heroic, but it's like, all right, if you're
So
gonna,
then he doesn't get squashed, but he's
He
stuck.
gets 8.
Yeah, he's stuck in the tomb,
nom, nom.
and his torch, I gotta say, very conveniently, it immediately starts to die, and then the skittering of that's horrifying. The scarabs come out of the dark, and they just swallow him, and that's it.
And now
Kevin J. O'Connor has a great scream.
Great,
Very
man.
good
This guy was made for horror movies. It's so
they
good.
should turn that into the new Wilhelm scream. It'll just be the O'Connor scream. And it gets
O'Connor
put in a
scream.
million movies. So they made it out okay, and
once
they
again,
kiss, they get on the
they get
camel.
out of there, and Ardeth Bay is just like, great work, everybody. It's like, where
Yeah, because he had supposedly apparently sacrificed himself early
No.
In the tomb confrontation,
like,
and then he's like, "Hey, I'm back."
How'd you get out? Whatever. I'm
Doesn't
a
matter.
badass. Yeah. Doesn't matter. You want me in the next movie? We do.
Yeah.
We really do.
We do.
We really do.
Yeah. So they get there.
And then he rides off, and there's also the funny bit of Jonathan going, "Oh, that's great," and he's left us.
How about you, little kissy wissy?
Yeah, I'll
And
kiss
he's
you, camel.
the camel. And as they ride off, we do see that there's a saddlebag full of gold.
It was Benny's camel.
Uh-oh.
What do you know?
It worked out, which means what we
Benny.
all want for them to be super rich in the next movie.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the case, which is weird. But anyway, that's 1999's The Mummy. As
It's okay.
Ba, da, 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 ba, 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 ba.
oh, it's so good. And by the way,
Yes.
great closing credits. I love the animations and the way the hieroglyphs form
Yeah.
into the names.
Now, I don't know if they said this in the commentary, Elliot, but were those the actual translations?
Well, so
The
I mean,
hieroglyphs?
I don't know about that, but I do know
Oh.
that they tried to keep everything as close to historically accurate as possible. The part of the reason that some of the pronunciations were changed, they consulted a professor, a professor in Egyptology,
Yeah.
who provided it was fun. He wrote out phonetic and recorded them for the people who were going to be speaking Egyptian, because he based on his research, it's like, this is probably what it sounded like. They did a lot of work.
They did, and I was gonna say that is. I think that's the
hell out of it.
first Mummy movie we've ever done that has even tried. I feel like to do, because most
Yeah.
of these just like whatever. It's. I mean, when you've got Tony Curtis going gobbity goob goob dap,
Yeah.
whatever, man. It's in Egypt. I mean, Egypt might as well be like a fantasy world to the way these people treat it, right? It
That's
is just
very
like,
Well, that's
Yeah.
yeah, because that's what it was. Thanks, Orientalism.
yep. Oh man, we're hitting all the real villains of on this
It's
episode.
true.
Yeah.
Colonialism, Orientalism, racism.
Yeah.
One in this movie did call it the Dark Continent, though, so we had that going for us.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So anyway, look, I've been yammering about this movie since literally we started doing this show. So of course, this is the heartiest of recommendations from me to watch The Mummy.
Yeah.
It's undeniably fun. Why wouldn't you want to watch it?
I know.
It's great.
That's the thing is, this is one that you don't even have to be a monster movie fan. You don't have to be a horror
No.
fan. This is just good, classic American studio entertainment.
Yeah.
None of it was filmed in America.
Nope. But
Not even the studio stuff. That
This
was
is-
in London.
this
But
is,
doesn't matter.
this is still the era though where it's all American money. We're yet to
This is true.
These movies are getting so expensive, and we need to get China to help pay for them. So we are still in that. And of course, this led to, according to the trivia, they called Stephen Sommers up the Saturday after this opened on a Friday and said, "We need another one."
Yeah.
Well,
And that might be part of the problem.
Yeah.
They took
we'll talk
no
about it when
time
we get
off.
to it.
We'll talk
That's
about
not next week.
That is
What's
not next week. Next week is this is the finale of the 90s, our season 5, all about the 90s. So we're leaving the 1990s. We bid adieu, and I think this is actually a good way to end and go into the next decade, because the 2000s will be all about the franchises, sequel after sequel after sequel.
Yes.
That's what we want, and we're kicking things off with it's a new decade, it's a new century, so we need a new Lord of the Vampires, folks. It's Wes Craven Presents Dracula 2000 next week on the show.
Oh,
Wes, could you have kept that?
Well,
present?
that's
Maybe
one of those. That's
returned
one
it?
of those. I was just talking about that. Wes Craven Presents. That's more of a like, hey, we're doing this thing, and Wes
I'll
is
put
like,
my name on it.
I like mine.
This isn't the John Carpenter thing.
No. We already. Oh yeah, Elliot missed the John Carpenter vampire, so we did a couple weeks ago, which I know you're not a fan of. And all valid criticisms.
Yeah, it's fine.
I had a lot of problems with myself, but surprised at parts of it I did like. Conceptually, I liked a lot of it.
Again, I've said this before because the reason I watched it is because I was watching Vampires Los Muertos for the action show.
Hey, which I get to watch again for this show, so.
Yeah, which have fun with that. I ain't coming. You can just play all of. You can just cut out all the stuff I said from the action shelf one.
I'll just have on a board. I'll just have sound cues of Elliott's appearance on that show.
You're double dipping, John. I can't believe that.
Well, now we're going back and forth, and so we're consciously doing monster crossovers with action shelf so that I don't end up having to do that again. But so yeah, Dracula 2000, little baby Gerard Butler is our Dracula. Sweet little infant Gerard. And you'll come back at some point, Elliot, to talk about Gerard as a different iconic monster.
Yes, I'm going to be with you for quite a bit of the 2000s.
The
I'm coming back
I will
for
say,
Mummy Returns.
You coming back?
I'm coming back
Van
for
Helsing?
Phantom. And I'm coming back for Van Helsing.
Van Helsing, yeah.
Elliot, we will make sure we have hot dogs for you. Sorry.
Okay.
Elliot,
pretzel buns.
You have to come back.
Pretzel buns.
You have to come back, Elliot, for Lost Boys: The Tribe. I'm sorry.
Oh, fine.
You have to. I'm sorry. These are the rules. Yeah.
They don't even have that in that one.
No. I was gonna say
they don't have sexy sax guy in the sequel.
No, sadly no.
Why am I watching?
You know what though? You know what we do get next week, and I do not remember him being in the movie, and he's low in the credits here. Nathan Fillion is in Dracula 2000.
Oh.
Ooh.
Talk about baby.
I know we get Jerry Ryan.
We get we get Jerry Ryan.
We get Jennifer Esposito.
Jennifer Esposito. Brandon's like, let's talk about all the attractive women in the movie.
Well,
it's a very 2000s cast. Gerard Butler's on the ascent.
I remember that's how they sold it. I hardly remember seeing Gerard Butler in the ads.
Well, everything about it was sexy. And
that was the whole thing.
Modern. But yeah, you do have. But I'm most looking for, of course, being the guy I am. I'm like, yeah, all these sexy young people. But Christopher Plummer is Van Helsing. Now we're talking.
I remember the trailer where you see him first show up in that translucent nightgown, and I'm like, whoa, this ain't your daddy's Van Helsing.
Colonel Von Trapp, my God.
How do you solve a problem like Van Helsing?
Well, there you go, Elliot. Yes, thank you for joining us, and you'll be back. I think the 2000s in general, and a lot of this is because a lot of my friends are the people who come on the show, so generationally, I think the 2000s will have the most guests. It will also have the most movies we've done so far.
This is true.
And it'll also have the most of me yelling about kids these days.
Get back to another Broadway song with "What's Wrong with These Kids Today."
I don't really know in this next batch which ones I'm really looking forward to, other than a few outliers.
Well, we get. I mean, I said it's nonstop franchises. So Mike Rigoni has already claimed all of the Underworld movies. Mm-hmm. And Mike Rigoni, by the way, I didn't even say it. He's joining us next week for Dracula 2000.
Oh, okay, great.
He's doing Dracula 2000. I know everybody snickers when at some point we'll get to the Twilight movies. Going,
oh God.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Yes. These are the same people who want us to do a Teen Wolf.
If you guys are doing League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, I'll probably be on for that too.
Oh, we're not, unfortunately, because Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde did not make the cut. Although, the Mina stuff in it, though.
Mina is.
Yeah.
And Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is in it.
Yeah, I was going to say, he didn't miss the cut. He missed the cut of our monsters.
He missed the cut.
Yeah, Phantom
Invisible
just
Man's
beat him
also
up.
in it.
Invisible Man. Oh shit, we might have.
And they do call the bad guy the Phantom, though he is not the Phantom.
All right, we might have to do that.
Horrible movie.
First subspecies and now League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh God, yeah.
Elliot,
the subspace.
I'm the devil of this podcast.
I love you and I hate you at the same time because
That's what I'm here for.
Subspecies has done terrible things.
We've seen all of them now. We've seen all, and Brendan, yeah.
I never had acid reflux before I started watching Subspecies.
I also
Well, take some Tums and get over it.
I will say we do get another Howling movie in the 2000s as well. They're gonna sneak another one of those suckers in. So, oh boy,
I think we've seen the worst.
We have to have. What was that one? We saw
the
one
at the ranch.
The one at the ranch was not even a movie.
That's not even a movie. That's a home movie. That's horrible.
So
anyway, okay,
stay tuned. Get ready. Gear yourself up for season 6 of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters as we head into the 21st century. But that is going to do it for this week's episode. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Brendan Jones.
And remember, there are such things as monsters.
But also such things as Rachel Weisz. Rachel Weisz.
That's getting cut, right?